I can't even digest what I just heard.
Yep. Just saying. That's what's going around.
I can't digest that at all. Guy has a record of like, Blue, yep, your record against me in ping pong, no exaggeration, is 10 to, it's honestly 10 wins and like 500 losses, maybe more.
Damn. He told me you would say
and
that.
Everybody knows that. I can't believe it. No, we're good. That's how we're going to start the goddamn episode. Yeah. This is the fucking You Never Know podcast, John.
Yeah, he warned me that that's what you would say. He was like, yeah, we're pretty much even.
It's wild. It's wild the lack of appreciation I get for how consistently better than him at every recreational sport ever.
But I heard your thing is more of like a mind game thing.
No,
so is that what this is?
I mean, you want to swing the camera around? Blue, am I lying? Do I not beat you in every motherfucking game?
Answer.
All the time. Blue's really fucking good.
Blue won't
and
answer.
he owes a lot of that to me because I just kicked his ass his entire life and everything. He's like, I have to keep trying to get better.
Yeah.
And I made him great.
Yeah.
He could actually beat a lot more people than he probably can't.
Well, he
you
said
know what I mean?
You made him even.
I'm just not getting the appreciation I deserve.
I understand.
It's fine. It's fine. In time it will come.
I feel like this might be the mind game.
My dad said something that stuck with me when I was young. It's the cream always rises to the top. The truth, hey, it will take some time, but the truth will always be told. It will be set free. I'm going to give you your moment now. It's fine.
Blue still won't fold.
Everyone welcome fucking drama, the one and only drama to the we call this the Stevenson Ranch. We call everyone Steve. So like Stevie Drama for tonight.
I like that. I picked that up off of following you on social media.
Exactly. Like everyone's Steve, it doesn't make sense. It's fine. Yeah. Once you get that doesn't make sense, it's even better.
I get it. It's like if you're a Steve, you're a Steve. Like your Steves can't wait to be called Steves, right?
Everyone's kind of a Steve. Like the guy, like I could chirp the guy, like the Uber who takes himself too seriously. I'd be like, all right, keep it down, Steve. You know what I mean? And because I'm just like, we're all one.
Yep. We're all Steves.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you, I know I actually like really have followed you closely because you are, I'm in a similar mind frame. I could tell just from what you're interested in. We're always DMing about books.
Yep.
We have a lot of similarities. I dove into your story a little bit. Like we have a lot of little alignments, which is cool. But I think number one, the first thing is just, I could see the direction mentally, spiritually too, I think too. Just diving into like, I see what you're trying to share. You're trying to share. I find myself doing the exact same thing. Yeah. It's really been like a huge breakthrough. You weren't originally like this, right?
Hell no.
So walk us through a little bit of where you are now. Yeah. I mean, it'll be a long story.
We got plenty of time.
Yeah.
So I want to share the other thing we have in common is that you came and did my podcast when I was just starting.
Really?
So I owe you big time for that.
And now you're early. You're number 4, 5? Number 5. I just did number 4.
I know you're top 20 or first 20 on mine, and that was when I owe you big time for that. That was just straight up a favor.
You didn't know me. It was all good. It was actually, I remember thinking it was a look. It was cool. I'd followed what you were doing. I knew Young and Reckless, and just from, I'm a Rob Dyrdek fan.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be.
Yeah, of course.
Man.
He's the man.
We're going to talk more about him, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about everything. So condensing, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to condense the super long story into a short version, and then you just ask me whatever you want.
Of course.
I essentially, I grew up outside of Akron, Ohio. Super like, I don't know, man. I don't want to discount where I grew up, but like, there's just nothing going on. Like literally nothing. Outside the window of my high school was cows. We would just like watch the cows all day long. So like no teaching of like mindset or goal setting or any of this stuff. My parents are amazing. They're still together. They're so incredible, but they're not like, they put love and family light years ahead of like success and achievement and ambition and that stuff. So I wasn't taught it. I came out to LA at 18. Of course, like anyone else, I thought I knew a little bit of everything. I thought I was equipped for everything. Then I link up with my cousin, Rob, who we were just talking about. We end up through just crazy circumstances going on this journey of like reality stars, superstardom.
What the fuck?
Which is insane. And I'll explain all that too if you want to hear it. But like that just kind of came out of nowhere for us. And then I started a clothing company. That becomes successful.
Pops the fuck off.
Pops off. So now any little bit of me that thought I knew everything knows I know everything, right? So I'm talking like 26 years old. I bought myself a Lamborghini for my birthday.
Yep.
I'm on top of the world. Mm-hmm. And essentially what happened was a lot of things lined up, meaning we stopped filming the show. So I lost that sense of like family. Business had some trouble, relationship trouble, all these things perfectly aligned. And I just felt lost. Like, I can't even explain the feeling of like nothing is worth anything. And I couldn't imagine why. I couldn't even remember why I moved to LA. I couldn't remember why I started a business. Literally, it was so weird because it was bad, but it wasn't that bad, right? Yeah. So that led to me, this was my schedule. Every single night, I would still go to the office, but I'd have like real bad anxiety and stuff. And so I would stick it out.
What year is this? Not to interrupt.
This is 2000, probably 15. So I'd have real bad anxiety. So I'd be fake working, right? And I would like sneak out. I was smoking cigarettes at the time. I would sneak out, go around back to this like neighborhood behind our office, chain smoke cigarettes, walk around for literally like an hour. And I would just have my doors closed in my office so people thought I was working. And I would go home every night. And I remember that I would wait until 9 p.m. to crack open the bottle of wine because I convinced myself that if you waited till 9, everyone drinks at 9. Yeah. So like you're not an alcoholic. Like what the hell? The sun is long gone.
Yeah.
So at 9, literally on the dot. Like it was the only thing I did on time. Crack open a bottle of wine.
Crazy.
I would just start drinking wine by myself and walking around my house. I sound like a psychopath, but walking, trying to figure it out. And I don't know what, I didn't have anything really, any knowledge to base what I was looking for on, but I was just trying to figure out why everything was so terrible. That then led to taking the occasional Vicodin, a little Norco. That then obviously leads you into like, okay, so now you go home at 9, you had 2 bottles of wine, 2 Norcos, then you couldn't sleep. Right. So now you take a Xanax, and like it really got to that point, and I was just like, it was a bad spot. So the point was, it all started with, at the end of the day, no one wants to be a loser, right? No one wants to be in that place.
Right.
Everyone always asked me, like, what turned it around? There wasn't some magical moment or whatever. I just remember being like, man, you are such a fucking loser. And I tried to jog around my block. And I felt like I was going to puke and hyperventilate, and it was horrible, you know? Like, I grew up skateboarding. I wasn't an athlete. And so I hadn't skated in years. And then finally I ran around my block. Then I ran a couple times. Then my boy invited me to Soul Cycle, and I was like, fuck it, dude. I don't got anything to lose.
I think I saw you at Soul Cycle.
Yeah, you did. You did. So I went to that was right in the phase where I started going to Soul Cycle, and I was like, man, there's something.
That was around when you were really, I saw you really turning it on social media too. That
was the start of it. And so there was something about like, once again, Soul Cycle is like a little, not quite for our demographic, but like there's something about a group and some positive talking and then just sweating your ass off. That led to reading more books. That led to more books. So it all just sort of piled on and led to this place where I am now, where like, I don't like to come off like I'm some sort of like enlightened dude, but I will say confidently that I'm a dude that thought he knew everything. And you can study all the business books you want in the world. That doesn't teach you mindset. That doesn't teach you goal setting. That doesn't teach you any of that. And you got to find that on your own. And that's what I'm on the road of, is finding that and learning that and trying to share that as I find
Couldn't be more on the exact same page.
Yeah.
Because different story getting here, but I recently had like a real like personal hardship era. Like I would call it an era because it was like on and off. It was mainly relationship based.
Yeah. How long ago?
I would say I'd say really, if we were to narrow it down, like 6 to 8 months. I would say 6 to 8 months is like really where I had a breakthrough with it.
Yep. I
had been putting my energy towards like correcting something. I felt this like void.
Yeah.
And a lot of it had to do with like, I talked about this last podcast a little bit, but like, what now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had this kind of like personal, like, I wouldn't even call it an awakening. I was just like, looked around. I was like, what does all of this mean? Like, what really makes me happy? I'm kind of like, I've had this like really crazy life in regards to where I landed.
Yeah.
You know, I'm from fucking Rhode Island. I was a baseball player, had nothing to do with music my entire life, my entire teenage years. Yeah. You know, I didn't even make a song until I was 21. I didn't even know this existed. Yeah. So I've had this whole like rebirth.
Yeah.
Then for whatever reason, bro, like I'm just knocking them down. Like I'm it worked. Like my arm failed. Everyone thought I was fucked.
Yeah.
This happened out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
And it actually worked. Like we monetized it and made it work. And then I looked around, I was just like, why am I waking up in a bad mood?
Yeah.
I got this crib that's 4 times the size of the fucking house I grew up in.
Yeah.
My boys are all here. Everyone's happy, healthy.
Yeah.
I was like starting to look in the mirror like, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Like you're an ungrateful piece of shit.
Yeah,
like really.
Same way, man.
And I was just like, I knew there was more to it. There was more to life. Like I knew, because like this shit, like I'm a regular ass dude, bro. I still am. Like so to have the money and shit, like, and I just had that awakening moment where it was just like, it's really not about this at all.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm fucking hungry. I'm going to make a bunch of fucking money, you know, but I know what I want it for, you know, and I had to figure out like what I wanted it for and really get grounded again. Like I want to say it's like charge it to the circumstances in a bit. Like I became, it's hard to not get a little egomaniacal being an artist.
Of course. That's why I relate so much, because I probably would have been much more arrogant if I was you, but I can relate because I don't have the talent.
You were a rock star, bro. You guys were like reality TV rock star motherfuckers.
Thing,
like,
right? And it feels so crazy because when you're on reality TV, like reality TV is like the old version of what like vlogging is.
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
right?
it is.
And so people feel like they know you so much that the response you get when you're out and about is not equivalent to how known you actually are.
Exactly.
Right. And I always say, like, if you saw me walking through a mall in like let's use Rob for an example, because he's significantly more famous.
Right.
If you use Rob walking through a mall in the height of all this shit, he's going to get mobbed by everyone. They're all going to run up because they feel like they know him. Tom Cruise.
They feel like they can too. They feel like,
oh,
like,
how's your dog?
Yeah,
how's
exactly.
your blah, blah, blah? Like,
Yeah.
I know your whole shit. I know where your
You're
bathroom
cool as
is.
fuck. Like, you know?
Yeah. And where if you see Tom Cruise walk through the mall, you're going to be like, oh, like that's fucking Tom Cruise. Like, it's like an alien.
Yeah,
but, like,
yeah,
you don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
him, you know? And
You're
so
right.
I can relate to feeling, like, I don't blame you at all in the sense that if I was on a stage singing songs and people knew the words and I'm calling people Steves and they're calling me Steve back in like foreign cities, I'm like, what? Like, I am a god, you know what I mean?
Man.
So I get it, bro.
It was just one of those things. I never ever, I'd say I've stayed overall very grounded through it, but it was more internally.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
I was like looking at myself and just being like, what the fuck gets you going, bro? Like people would be like, oh, you saved my life. I'd be like, all right, you know, like it would be touching in the moment, but it was just like almost another thing. Like I was just on to the next moment and it'd be like, I don't know. I wanted shit to feel bigger. I wanted to feel more fulfilled with it. I wanted, and really like what I learned through this journey I've been on is that my perspective was all wrong. Yeah. You know, it almost I just wasn't looking at things properly,
100%.
you know, and like we're focusing on everything that, you know, really wasn't like none of what I care about now. Yeah. Like I was in a whole other headspace, you know?
And that's why I say like, I'm not even saying like, I wasn't even a very outwardly facing like arrogant dude. Yeah. But I think that being an asshole, like an arrogant asshole, and being super depressed and in your own head are both based off of being really self-centered. Yeah. And it's both a lack of like a proper perspective of your surroundings and your place in the world. And so it feels like everything's caving in on you because, you know, whatever. But also when you do, you know, we're not built to be famous. Like fame is a weird glitch.
I talk about this shit.
Yeah.
Bro, it's a man-made construct. Like nobody, that's the reason so many people associate famous people with fucked up. They're, you know, they're unhappy or fucked. Like how, you know what I mean? And it's really because it's not even close to what your existence is supposed to be at the purest level.
And the same rules don't apply. Like you just said, someone comes up to you and says, yo, Mike, I love you, man. You changed my life. If you're a normal human being and someone says that to you, you're like, wow, really? Like what, how, talk to me. You get to that level and it's like, oh yeah, I know, but I got to get to my thing. Like I'm trying to eat, like leave me alone. You know what I mean? And like, it's a shame, but that's just what happens. Right. And because we're not built to do that. And so like, especially for both of us doing it at a young age and moving away from home and coming into this new area and kind of riding this thing, you don't learn all of the practical, even it's just people skills. Like it's like, and even you, like you're a super personable dude, but like you don't learn the regular path through like a new city and the regular way to establish your foundation and work through. You're kind of riding this other thing.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, the last thing I want to do, I hope none of the listeners, I don't want to come off as like, oh, poor us, we were famous.
Not at all.
But
yeah.
but it's like, man, there is this whole other level of challenge that comes with that stuff that people don't really talk about openly. And the reason why it's relevant more than ever is because it's kind of applying to everyone now that social media is a thing. Because everyone's like a micro celebrity.
Exactly.
And it's like fucking up their like
even
perception.
within their high school.
Yeah.
Who's the most who got the most likes and like
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Can you fucking imagine? We talk about this.
No way.
Myself in high school.
Yeah.
With fucking social media. I don't even know what I would be like.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm scared to think about it. I
just don't know. I really might have had a whole different life. Like that's how crazy this shit is though.
And that's why, like, I'll go home for Christmas and I always like check in with my little cousins and shit because they'll tell me like what music's hot and whatever, like in Ohio. And when I see them, like, 14-year-olds like trying to take the perfect selfie in my mom's living room and they're scared to post it because they don't want haters and like all the shit that like a celebrity talks about. It's like, oh my God.
You're exactly right with the micro celebrity thing.
Yeah. So it does apply. And I think everyone can start to relate to it.
Exactly. I think that's my biggest thing is really what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, especially hip hop, but just music, celebrities. There's this certain like you're kind of taught like it's an undertone to like be mysterious. You have to have this
big time.
Yo, everything I'm doing is this. Like like that's why your lyrics gonna sound so fly because not everybody know. It has to be this. You're the salesman and the product tucked away. Like what you fantasize about what their lives are like day to day. They're only seeing the best of the best if they're showing it.
Yeah.
And it's just like I didn't commit to that. I wasn't really doing, but I like kind of was like, oh yeah. Like as I got on and more popping, like moved to LA and like, yeah, I'm gonna like tweet less or I'm just gonna pull back and like say a little less, be a little more mysterious. And it really like the whole vibe. I think my unhappiness that I felt, that unfulfillment was really like disappointment in myself because I was like conforming.
Yep.
And I could like feel it. You know what I mean? I could feel it and I was like, what the fuck? Like I was just agitated about, and it was really like just I saw this crazy quote. It was like prayer is us talking to God and intuition is God talking back.
Yeah.
And
good.
your intuition, like I had this intuitive like you're a bitch to myself. Like it was kind of like it just wasn't. I was worried about what people thought. Like never ever in my life cared ever.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where I
get it.
I get it
fully. I get it. And like I just think it throws off the world. It throws off the normal rules.
Right.
And that if you were when you were growing up, you didn't give a shit about all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But the rules did change. Like you couldn't have became who you became and kept acting the same way. You had to do something.
Totally.
So maybe you didn't do it perfectly for like your mental state, but you've also kept it very real, and you're one of the like few dudes in this city.
That's always been the goal.
Yeah.
But
of course it's gonna mess with you.
Yeah.
Because you're even thinking about shit that you just don't actually care about.
Exactly.
It's interesting.
A lot of this shit you're sharing, like the books and shit, I'm just like, I'm hitting you like, what book is that?
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like just understanding what's happening to your mind.
Yeah.
Because we're getting programmed every single second of the fucking day.
Yeah.
And it's really like, I found myself on this fucking phone so much.
Yeah.
And like, not even that I was finding myself personally invested emotionally in a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I just felt like what's the word? Fragmented thoughts. Like there were just like so many like little, I wasn't going like 5 minutes without looking at something on my phone ever.
Yeah.
So like,
same.
And it was just one of those things where it was like, I had this awakening. Yeah, it was really about like 6 to 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And I've cut back on the phone and cut back on watching shit or caring about what every news story is. As much as it's cool to be informed, just like I felt myself getting like, just giving a little piece of myself to all these things, and wasn't enough of me left to like have the days I wanted to have.
For sure.
A lot of just wasted time, wasted energy, wasted thought.
We're just not built for it, man. And I think like the more that you look into like what we are, meaning like, once again, I want to be really careful and check me if I sound too like, okay, let me tell you how to live life, right? But my point is, the more you just look at what we really are as human beings, what we're designed to do, what our shortcomings are, what our flaws are, what our whatever. Mm-hmm. We're just not built to deal with this much shit coming in constantly. Exactly. And the way that media is set up, being Instagram, news, all that stuff, is everyone's stressed out, right? Like all these big companies are having trouble because the attention is leaving. So, we all know magazines crumbled and newspapers crumbled and all that stuff. But but what you don't realize is that, like, the Huffington Post is sitting there like, how do we get clicks? Like, all we got is clicks, man. Like, we got to do something because people are naturally clicking. Like, it's crazy stories about like Kim Kardashian or whatever. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Donald Trump has kind of taken over the media. But the point is, we're now the victims of that battle. So that's something that's happening totally separately from us. And we are the victims of it because they're all vying for our clicks. So the whole thing is set up to how can you click more? And then you have Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff is ran by geniuses whose job, the same way that cigarette companies' job was to figure out how to get people more addicted, that is their job. Exactly. They are scientists in white coats figuring it out. And so you add all of that on top of it and you see, I'm not actually doing any of this because it's my goal to become more informed about Donald Trump.
Right.
I'm just doing it because this is where the world pulled me today. And the craziest shit happened. I've been on this like 6-month journey to be on social media less. And this sounds so stupid, but it's so true. And like I went from like, okay, I'm just going to check it less, to then, okay, well, I got an idea. I'm going to get another phone that's a separate phone that's only my social media phone. And so, but then what did I do? I kept it with me all day long, right? And so I'm just pulling out both phones. Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep it in my laptop bag when I'm at the office. So I have to reach down and grab it. And you have to remember, dude, that phone is bad news. You might as well be grabbing a Game Boy. Right. And so, but then I would just grab it every 10 minutes. So I literally right now leave it in my car like a pack of cigarettes. And on this phone is only phone, email, calendar, text. Wow. There is no YouTube, no nothing. And I'm not kidding you, man. As embarrassing as it is to admit, I found myself the same way when I was trying to quit smoking. I found myself sneaking downstairs so that my employees wouldn't, because they knew my phone was down there, and they would see all of a sudden Drama like my photo. Where'd he go? He's in the garage. And
that's so fucking funny.
And like I'm like, bro, you are getting pulled the same way that you were pulled by cigarettes.
It's exactly the same fucking thing. It's crazy.
It's crazy. So now it's to the point where I'm finally getting over the hump of like, I don't feel that pull as much. I check it in the morning. I usually check it one time during the day. I check it at night. I've used all the excuses in the book. I need it for work.
I'm in the middle of that.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but man, it's like I'm a recovering freaking social media user.
It's crazy. I'm just worried about what it turns into. Where does it go? It's really confusing for me to like try to think about like my niece who's like 5. What the fuck is it going to be like when she's 15?
Yeah.
Like there's going to be like virtual reality simulations where like you're not going to be able to tell her like if you're in this world or you're in that fucking world. Like,
that's why I loved what I think Naval said this. We both talked. One of the things we sent back and forth in DMs was the Naval podcast on Joe Rogan and then his own. But one thing that he said that I really liked was that it used to be a game of like getting out into society. And like getting out and working with people and being around people. And now it's a game of the opposite. Like, not that you want to seclude, but it's a game of protecting your time. And we're just not taught that that's something we should focus on. But I think it will become where part of being healthy
it's gonna have to be.
will be someone that is in charge of your time. And the unhealthy, when you look at like someone just like now, if you look at that scraggly person chain smoking cigarettes, you're like, man, you're just unhealthy. Not that you judge them, not that you care, but you're like, that's an unhealthy person.
Right.
I honestly think that we'll start to judge health by who is more in control of their private time, as well as physical health. I really do. Because I think this stuff's not stopping. Like you're right. We're going to have VR. We're going to be able to VR podcast each other from our separate things. Totally. It's going to be like I'm here talking to you, and then I'm going to stop. And
why would the fucker from where you're from, sitting in his mom's house, not want to be in a fucking fantasy world?
Yeah.
And go connect with some bitches on the beach in South Beach.
Yeah. But think about it. That's already why in my world is just where I'm from is overrun with painkillers. right? That's the big problem.
I'm the same. I'm from fucking
Exactly,
Rhode Island,
right?
thing.
So same thing. Why? Because that's an escape. So if you can escape into VR world
without killing yourself.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. It's good that you're not killing yourself. It's bad that you don't ever like actualize who you could be.
Yeah. It's like the Black Mirror shit. You watch Black Mirror?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like Black Mirror, that's the shit like I was watching a few seasons ago. And I was just like, holy shit, this is telling us what's coming.
Yeah. But here's what's interesting. I think at the core, like human beings need connection. We need growth. We need to evolve. Like you feel it.
Sure.
Like the one thing that I have hope about is when I wasn't growing, evolving, or learning, I felt like horrible. And it manifested itself in me looking like shit, feeling like shit, doing shitty shit. Mm-hmm. That's science. And
doing shitty shit.
And so like that's actually good because
that's hilarious. That's,
hopefully we cuss on this.
No, fuck no. That's the best part. Doing shitty shit.
Yeah, man. And so I think that's actually promising because that shows that even though that's a really rough place to be in, that's something correcting you and saying get back to who, what you could be doing. And so I do think at the core of us, we're wired to have connection, to have growth, to have all that stuff. So there's going to be this interesting fight between like people that are trying to addict us to attention to make money and our natural human instincts. And I don't know who's going to win. I just think we're going to look at the same way that fast food makes itself as tasty as possible, as cheap as possible, and supersized, whatever. Absolutely. And we look at people who are chain smoking outside of a McDonald's as someone with weak will, or you're just not a healthy person.
Right.
I think we'll start to do the same with this type of like technology stuff.
So can you explain that a little bit further? Meaning, so when you think it's the same, you're talking when you say technology stuff. So if they're out of whack as far as what they're doing on what, I don't know exactly what you mean.
So what I'm saying is I think that the same way, like, once again, I want to make clear that I'm not like judging.
Yeah, no,
but, like,
not at all.
If you saw like an overweight person outside of a McDonald's chain smoking,
I get what you're saying. The negative association you have, you're just like, oh, they're unhealthy.
You wouldn't be like, you're like, I'm sure that cigarette is probably great, and I'm sure that Big Mac is even better. But I personally wouldn't do it because I know, right? The problem is we don't tie social media or even mental illness as clearly as we do physical, right? So I just think that there will be this new sort of awareness of like, yo, your phone, like it's the same way now. If I saw you, if I came over and you were standing outside just scrolling your ass off, I'd be like, Mike, you okay, dude? You know what I mean? Like I'd be like, damn, like, he's losing it. You know, like, and I think that we'll just start to like appreciate people and value health as the people that don't do that.
Right.
And you can already start to see the messaging coming out of like, this is bad, this is addictive. And you have all these books about digital minimalism and all this different stuff. You see, it feels like the beginning of like a health trend.
You're exactly right.
And I just think that that's...
Totally get what you mean.
We'll look at a healthy person as someone who manages their time.
And you're saying that will drive culture in the right place because it will be such a point of oversaturation where you're just like, this is unhealthy. Like it's now the trend, the health trend. To be not so engaged, not so.
It'll always be that spectrum. Like we won't judge or we won't whatever, but we'll just know. Like when you see a healthy, happy person, you'll know the same way they don't smoke cigarettes and they don't eat Big Macs all day. You know that they're probably not on their social media all day. It's just kind of intuitive, right? I just think it'll become part of the conversation. But right now, it's as if the healthiest people in the world are chain smoking because they just haven't figured out that cigarettes are bad yet. You know?
Are you a meditation guy?
I am.
In the middle of working on it?
Yeah, it's one of those like I wish I act like I do it more than I do. I'm like a 3 or 4 day a week guy. Yeah. It should be every day.
I'm about the same.
Yeah,
I'm about the same. I'm trying to bully myself. Like I'll wake up with guilt if I didn't meditate the day before. Yeah. I'm like, you're a fucking bitch.
It's stupid.
Every
time I finish, I'm like, every day you're doing that every day.
You know that you're supposed to. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to.
And it feels good.
Yeah.
When you're done, you're like, I'm glad I did that.
What's your biggest reasoning for not, do you think?
That's a good one. I think that like everything. Okay, so this is what I've learned about myself. I can learn all I learn. I can pretend to be so smart about some subject, but it all comes down to that like moment of like, are you gonna just do it or aren't you? Right? It's the most popular probably like when it comes to going to the gym. And everyone always says the hardest part is putting on your running shoes, right? It all comes down to that very moment. And I think the crazy thing with meditation is it's so far the worst thing that I've found is like when you're moving and when your brain's going a little too fast, the last thing you want to do is sit for 10 minutes.
Facts.
And you can lie to yourself so easy and be like, I don't have the 10 minutes. You want me to just sit on a couch for 10 minutes?
I'm going to do it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the easiest thing because the gym, you're going and doing something.
Right.
Meditating, you're sitting on a couch and it's like...
Goes to show you how challenging it is, how taxing it is in a whole different way.
Very.
Now think about that. We're now in a day and age where even when you know it's right, it's so goddamn physically taxing to the point where I'm like, yo, babe, you should meditate to my girlfriend or whoever. You should meditate to the guy who knows I'm a real motherfucker and he fucks with me. Still can't even imagine. They're like, what do you mean just sit here and do nothing? I could never. That's where we are. That's where the fuck we are.
100%.
People can't sit in a room with themselves and do nothing. That is as hard as going to the gym and pushing weights. When you have to get in a fucking car and drive and put on shit and shower and take a whole more.
That's easier, I think.
I do the same thing though. Like that's what I'm saying. It's so crazy how the where society has pushed humanity it's out of its comfort zone and it's like, yo, you got to draw back. Like, and it's almost weird up till just about now. I'd say maybe I'm speaking out of turn. I mean, I just feel like now it's becoming way more of a topic of like, it's not weird to have self-help books fucking playing in your earphones, and it's not weird to read this, and it's almost like a thing people want to share. Like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Like, I'm on the law of attraction shit. It's really one of those things where I think now it's like I was one of those people. I thought like, why the fuck you gotta listen to a book telling you what to do? Like, I could just, I'm crushing it.
Same, man.
You know,
like, how about just chill out? Why you gotta meditate?
Yeah, like,
chill the
dude,
fuck
let's
out, dude.
fucking,
What are you stressing so hard about?
Exactly. Who cares, bro? It's kicking it. That was me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I almost felt myself feeling like I was on the fence if it was like a bad thing that I was going down this path. You know, like, but then now when I got here, I'm just like, that guy didn't know shit. You know, and that's where, like, meditation, that's why I asked you, it's like kind of slowly becoming one of the most fascinating thing to me. Because I've literally sat in my room and gotten high. I got high off meditation, bro. Like, I have. I just been like, fuck, I feel high.
Of course. That's why I think like the people that I respect the most, period, end, are the people that say they are going to act a certain way and do it. It's the people that we all respect the most, right? It's some of the most successful people in the world, and it's just those people that, like, whatever it is, the willpower, the whatever. It's like you say you're going to do something, you do it. I think that meditation is one of the hardest things to do that, because it's like I said, you say you're going to go to the gym, it's at least you're doing something.
Right.
But
you'll see some people, look at some bitches.
Yeah.
Vibe.
It's fine, whatever.
Stop and get a smoothie on the way back. Everything's good.
Perfect.
It's part
Post
of the day.
a couple pictures, like, whatever, man. I worked so hard today.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's something about just sitting down and doing it. There's that moment of like, am I really going to do this? And, you know, every message that we've been taught or taught ourselves is like, no, I keep moving. I'm on the next problem. I worry about the next thing. I think. And, you know, I don't know. It's a fascinating thing. I do think it's obviously getting like cooler than ever, more accepted than ever. And I think it's,
I just think
important.
that's like where I think almost like the thing you were just talking about. We were just talking about how it's going to translate to tech. Well, that would be the unhealthy. It'll be an unhealthy association if you're on your phone too much. I feel it's going to happen the same thing with just understanding that, like, the power of the mind. Like, up till now, it's just kind of been like one of these things. Like, you believe like your thoughts turned into things. Like, motherfucker, they do. You know, and 100%. Like that realization has been a huge breakthrough for me, because even now I still, like, there's days where I'll catch myself with negative thoughts. I'm challenging. At least I know now I'm bringing it into my conscious, and I'm like, yo, nah, every thought needs to be serving, you know, every thought needs to be serving what you want going forward.
100%. Yeah. I think that it's crazy. Like, the one thing that I have felt since, like, learning this stuff and kind of working on myself is we just don't, like, what we're taught, like in school and just kind of going through the system and expecting to be successful is just not even scratching the surface. And everyone has their different versions. You know, Buddhists have their thing and everyone has their thing. But damn it, man, the one thing I can tell you is that we don't have the complete complete picture and the complete set of like tools to be a well-rounded kind of peaceful person. And I don't know, it's a shame that it keeps going that way. I mean, high schools are pretty much still the same, I think, since you and I were in it.
It's so weird you brought up schools. I was literally where I was going next. I have this whole ideology that, I mean, it's many people who have said this before me, but like I think we're approaching the time where there needs to be a complete reform. Education.
We're long past it.
Like even just like the entire structure. Think about it. We're still living in the educational form, like the format of what education is right now.
Yeah.
That was before we had fucking anything. Before we had internet, before we had anything, phones. Yes. Bro, every single person in this high school knows everything.
Yeah.
It's in their
factory
pocket.
Workers.
It's in their pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like now it's not about like learning. Everybody knows what they want to know. I can literally just Google it. I know it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody knows what they want to know. Yeah. So now it's about like teaching people how to exist peacefully.
Yep.
Taking care of the planet, how to live economically, taxes. These are the most basic thoughts. You know what I mean? But like driving kids to their passions versus just teaching them broadly about a bunch of shit that no one fucking cares about. Yeah. Actually, it's doing more harm than good now.
Way more.
So much more. And like, I get that the structure of meeting people and like having, he learned discipline and he learned. No, bro, like that time is just gone. Now it's about like connecting with people you want to be connected with. There obviously has to be some kind of management. They're kids. You know what I mean? Yeah. So still going to school, still going to a place, but understand it, creating an interactive, ever changing, ever evolving. Why have the same menu? Like, every day, like all different types of people coming in speaking virtually, whoever. Imagine a class. That's where it needs to go. Yeah. Because at this rate, like, it's just going to be more and more kids like, I'm going to start a business when I'm 13. Yeah. Or I have a YouTube channel that I already make fucking $500 a month. Yeah. Yep. You know 100%. What I'm saying?
It's
time to change.
It's so time to change. It's nuts. The structure of it was all structured to, like, the reason there's bells factory and all that workers. Stuff is lining people to be factory workers. Exactly so, right. Like, it's so far outdated. I can't even wrap my head around. And I would argue that the discipline you learn from school is actually bad because it's discipline for the sake of discipline. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't teach you that discipline is good. And however, the proportions of your discipline will increase or decrease the proportions of your personal reward. For me, if I'm going to high school and I show up every day on time, it doesn't matter. I get the same grades as the kid who showed up late 52 times. It doesn't matter. And so the point is it teaches you discipline is stupid and discipline is pointless.
How about the law? Like teach everybody just be taught the law of karma.
Yeah.
Every single thing you guys do when no one's watching, like it will, you know what I mean?
Well, how about how to set goals?
Set goals.
Like meaning like how about like teaching someone like, okay, what are you interested in? What do you think you would like to do by the end of this year? What do you think you'd like to do in 5 years? How can we make sure that you're actually moving towards that? And like basic stuff, but I think it's a shame. And I think that is why, as good as the economy is and as happy as we are and out here in LA, life's great. There's a large portion of the country that's hurting badly. Yes. And it's because of that, and I'm not saying that the system needs to be set up to like make everyone rich, but the system is already failing people at a really rapid rate.
Right. And like, listen, there's a lot of kids that are still going to choose the vocational route and go learn to be mechanics because they're drawn to that. Everyone has their own talents. Yeah. I just think it's like, everything is just so ass backwards about everything. And then like, I'm just watching guys like Gary Vee and what he's preaching. And it's really so true. Like you're going to go to this average ass school that no one gives a fuck that you got a piece of paper from and eat 70K, start in the hole 70K or whatever. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm doing that, bro. Like I'm not telling my kid like, I just don't see this. I can't see this lasting much longer as it is. I just can't. I get that it's never changed, but like, fuck.
I know, man. I feel you, but I think the scary part of it is like, I also don't see the organization like or the structure that would change it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I don't either.
Like on that level,
I literally wanted not to cut you off. I literally think like guys like Naval. Yeah. Like if I or whatever sit down, I'd be like, dude, you have to do something about this. Yeah.
But I just don't think it's
like
such a
somebody figure it out. Like education, I'm not that informed on this, but education isn't like a huge monetizable. It's not a big part of American business.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't even know. I don't think so. Right?
No.
Like I don't see in a world how that. So this is the first thing at least we could start. I get that big business, the corruption of what is great for the planet, what is good and bad. Like I get that there's so many hurdles to get through with the horseshit politics, that the corruption and the business deals and the things that matter versus like the greater good.
Yeah.
But for education, there's no huge hurdle as far as getting the government on board. It's not a huge like it's not.
No, it's one of those like the way you've always done thing problems.
I also think that they don't necessarily, sounds crazy, but I don't know if they're necessarily promoting or thinking it's best that everybody think freely.
I would agree with you on that, but I don't think it's as much as like, I'm going to be honest, I just don't think it's top of mind. I don't think that the way, like who would do it, right? The government
crazy.
would have to do it. And I don't think the government thinks about what? They think about, foreign policy, and they think about what's going on with taxes and all of this different stuff. At the most, they think about how to arrest the people better and make different laws that got failed by the system and now are criminals or doing illegal shit, right? That's what they think about. I don't think there's any big conversation at the front of anyone's desks about how do we start at square one and train people to be more fit for this current climate.
Right.
I think it's more that. So I think the complaint...
Doesn't that strike you as odd, though?
Yeah,
How is
it
nobody a progressive fucking thinker around our age just like, you know what,
it's so
guys?
hard to get it done. That's
this
why.
is what the fuck we need.
Yeah. It's just, there's a difference between knowing what we need and being able to say it and have millions of people even listen, like on a podcast, and actually get it done. It's like, you've heard these stories about like these big corporations and stuff that they just can't pivot. They just can't, like right now, massive staples of American business companies are failing, slowly bleeding out in retail. The Macy's of the world, those people, right?
This is so funny. I was just at the mall and I was walking around with Versace, one of my guys, and I was like, I want to understand what the fucking economics of these places are. Like
terrible.
I really do, because I just see them empty and I'm like, what the fuck? We're in Beverly Hills.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck is the real economic? And I know you're in this space. I wanted to get into this with you anyway.
Yes, we're just on the same page. So what I'm saying is like, okay, so that's Macy's. Now, size Macy's up against the U.S. government, right? Not even a fraction. The reason why, plain and simple, is Macy's did not see the internet and e-commerce coming. They didn't make an adjustment. They didn't create anything, and they still aren't. So it's still, you walk through a mall, that's like walking through a high school. And seeing a store that's 20,000 square feet and empty is like walking through a high school listening to an algebra class.
Yep.
It's the same thing. It's just you can't, when something gets that big, it's so hard to pivot. So it's not that, like logistically, it would be so hard to reform education. It's that like pivoting such a massive ship,
huge pivot,
is so hard.
Yeah, I just think, you know what, like as you said, it should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like it's getting to a boiling point, because with where technology is going, it's just not gonna fucking matter what this lady right here in front of you is saying when she don't even. Like, she's, you know what I mean? Like, even just the value of like, bro, I learned so much shit from Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, that motherfucker is informing me about so many things in an interesting way, in a compact way. Yeah. And still, it's in an authentic way that makes you feel validated for believing it versus some textbook telling you some shit that means nothing.
Yeah. So that's what's so interesting is like, I think the same way we just had all that, like the negative side of social media and all this stuff. Now here's the positive side. And like, what if, I don't know, but what if the problem is when we think about podcasts.
You want a beer? Are you good?
I'll have a beer, yeah.
See, I just put you on the spot. Like if you passed there, everyone would have judged you though. Like my fans would have been like, "Oh, he's a bitch. He didn't take the beer.
I'm not listening to shit.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
You and your high
now you're good.
Bullshit.
Now you're good.
Yeah.
All right, we're good.
I
didn't mean to lay you up like that. I did.
No, I'm glad.
You slam dunked it.
I didn't even think about that. I just thought like, man, now we're cruising. This is good.
Exactly.
So the difference is we just think of podcasts as like podcasts, and we still think of high school as like high school. Like high school is the thing that's supposed to do it. It's this legit thing. podcasts and the internet and content and all that stuff is just this thing. What if maybe the perception just changes in the next 10 years and more people are just pulling their kids out of school? That's what will cause a change. If all of a sudden there's this massive amount of people not going to school because they feel like they can teach it better with Joe Rogan and some classes their parents made up and whatever, then a change will happen because now a whole system is failing, right?
Would you send your kid to fucking traditional school if you had a kid right now?
High school or college? College, no chance. Unless he or she was like, I want to be a doctor or whatever. I don't know. I feel like even now, I'd be really tempted to homeschool.
Say she wanted, like, yeah. If she was gonna go to a private school, your daughter.
Yeah.
And like, she's not necessarily married to going. Like, I get if your kid wants something, you're gonna be like, of course, you know. But at the same time, I just don't know if I could. I'd be like, yo, there's so many. Did you drop one?
Which one? Who got the magic? This is like
that
Russian roulette.
That would have been a fucking. You never know. It's the whole fucking. Hey, here we go. Everybody on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I get myself, but I'm not a douche.
Ah, good.
Oh yeah, it wasn't bad either.
Little phone.
Okay.
Yeah, you handled that. I just don't know if I would. I'd be like, yo, man, like, listen, babe.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's a hard.
I don't think you need to know about fucking geometry and shit and like what equals fucking pi underscore. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you don't.
You know, and I just know like it's not going to serve you.
Yeah.
If I really care about the love you have for your kid, it's just like I don't want to waste your time and energy and like potentially in a polluted environment where you can get programmed by some fucker making $60K that doesn't even isn't happy with their own decisions, so they're gonna pollute you about what it should be. Like, my perspective has changed so much on this shit. I'm fucking went to Duke and Georgetown. Like, I think education really, like, I'm probably pissed a lot of people off. But like, if you have me come talk at your college, I'll be like, yo,
you should drop out.
Figure out what the fuck you guys makes you guys go off. What makes you fucking heart. Start beating faster and just do that.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I agree, man.
Video games. Video games, bro. Motherfuckers are millionaires. That's the hottest shit.
Yeah.
Millionaires. Like, I'm getting ready to invest in that space. Like, it'd be stupid not to. It's huge. It's booming. And it's, you know why? It's because it's so scalable. Everyone plays video games. Every motherfucker who isn't 6'8" and knows like, you know, if you can compete at a high level very quickly when you play sports. So now all of a sudden, like, these motherfuckers, like Ninja, that guy's a real life celebrity. 20 million followers, like, and he's playing video games.
Yeah, huge.
You know, so it's just like, yo, whatever makes you tick, just go do it. Because anytime, like, we're living in a day and age where markets, completely new categories are fucking booming every day. There's just a new category. Like, if you told me, even me, I'm a young motherfucker and grew up, you know, in a bunch, like, the technology age. If you told me even 6-7 years ago, like, yo, these motherfuckers gonna be this famous, they'll be selling out arenas to watch, people will be going to arenas to watch motherfuckers play video games.
No way am I believing that. No way.
I'd be like, dude, no way. There's zero chance. There's better chance of pigs flying. You know what I'm saying? And it's happening. So I can't, like, really even send my kid to school. That's just how I feel. I don't even think it's, like, right. Unless they change it, you know? But I just can't. Even right now, I would not send I mean, if they really wanted to, and it was, but I just wouldn't let it happen. I'd find a place where she can go and learn and be around kids, like-minded people. You know,
I agree with you 100%. The only thing that I will say is I think this is something for everyone to, like, take into consideration. In a time when the outside discipline is failing people more and more, the structures of how we go through a system, inside discipline and clarity is more important than ever. Because one of the problems is when there is a system set up. Like, I go to high school, I go to college, I get a good job, I'm okay. I have a family, I'm okay. The people who aren't super, like, disciplined or focused on what they want to be or clear or setting goals or managing cash or any of that stuff, they can just kind of go through that system and they can be okay. But when if we're saying that system is falling apart, which we are, what we're saying is that means each individual person has to get more clear and they have to be the structure.
The accountability that comes with that.
Yeah, and like it's fine not to go to college, but the one good thing about college is college gives you 4 years with a structure. You know what you're going to do on each one. At the final one, you get a diploma. That diploma serves you. So if there's no longer that to do, then you have to tell yourself, what am I going to do in 4 years? Well, year 1 is going to be my this. Year 2 is going to be that. By year 3, I'm going to have this. And by year 4, this is what I'm going to do that will get me this. And then follow that as if you're in school.
See, I still like the idea of that.
Yeah.
But imagine going and just like having this array of things where it's actually all just extremely valuable, and you can go like you're still gonna you're still gonna get the I think it's really valuable, the environment, even if it's, when I said polluted earlier, like you don't want to make your kid a fucking pussy either and just like coddle. Although I think love is always like, I've been more on that vibe ever,
Yeah, but love and coddling are so different.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like the people skills that you can develop when you're being challenged, and you also see there's people with differences and how you coexist.
Yep.
But
there's this other interesting thing happening on some universities where, they're shutting down speakers and stuff. Like, have you seen that stuff? Like
yes,
a speaker will come to the school that they don't like, and they will block them from entering and saying this is a traumatic experience, and they have safe rooms where they can go and like watch cartoons. Like, it's insane. And so in that instance, that same structure is doing more damage than, you know what I mean? Like, I always want, the one thing I ever regretted not going to college, about not going to college, was just learning how to get in there, coexist with the other kids, be free of my parents, other people my age. How do I work into this system? I think that's really important.
A lot about yourself.
Yeah, I would imagine. And that's really important. But now the thought of going there and sort of being told that it's okay to be shielded from challenging thoughts, and that thoughts are now traumatic, as if they're physical violence. And kids are overrunning professors and chasing people down and chasing them off campus. And teachers are getting fired for saying things that are just a little challenging.
Right.
I don't know. It's weird, but you're right. All that I'm saying is, like, hopefully one day a structure that suits our environment a little bit better gets created. Totally. Until then, I think that it's more important than ever that since there is no structure that will set you up for definite success, you need to build the structure inside yourself and discipline yourself as if you were your own teacher, manager, whatever, and find what you want to do and do it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we've both been doing. I can tell what
That's
we've been reading.
Man. Yeah.
Let's segue.
Let's go. Man.
I want to talk about, so obviously I'm a big business guy. I study business, and I see what you're doing. I want to just know, I want to dive into just the beginning of Young and Reckless.
Yep.
But just kind of short story long.
Yeah.
Give us just a little nutshell of, like, one, were you always business oriented? How'd you get in that space?
Yeah.
And then from where you started till now, I'd love to hear where you're at, what's going on, because I see you busting moves and doing a lot of these entrepreneur, like you're next to fucking Barbara Corcoran and shit at panels and shit. It's really cool to see you stepping into this space, from where you came, which is like it's like a whole, it's a depart, it's just not even a departure, it's just you're watching the evolution of it. Yeah.
Okay, so I would say I didn't grow up very business minded. I think that I grew up sort of with entrepreneurial instincts. And I know that's
you selling weed?
No, but I would have had I got.
I don't know why I pegged you as a weed. Don't even take that the wrong way.
I would have been all in if I had the right guy.
You look like you were moving the bags around.
I appreciate that. I mean, that's actually a compliment. Here's what I did. Here are my hustles. Number one, when I was super young, I would always be like gathering things in my parents' house, trying to combine them and asking them if I could do yard sales.
See, that's you
so that was the first thing.
Have the gene in you, right? I never did that.
And then I started. I did have a racket, which I'm not proud of, and no one should do this. Where I figured out how to steal iPod shuffles from Best Buy, and I would steal them and sell them at school. So that was my weed.
You paid your karmic debt for that.
I hope so.
I know you have,
because I keep saying it on podcasts. I'm like, shut up, dude. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, like who? Like,
they come after you. Best Buy's like.
Like, by the way,
exactly.
There's no statute of limitations.
Next time you're
in
Best Buy, they cruise up on your ass.
Yeah. So I was doing that a little bit and made a little bit of money from selling iPod shuffles at school. I then
it's either here nor there.
But could or could not be true. But
Exactly.
then when we started, I was super into skateboarding. That was my whole life. I realized that around 14 that I wasn't headed in the right trajectory to be a pro skateboarder. It just wasn't good enough. So I started being the filmer. So I bought the camera, was filming all my friends.
Which you have to be a dope skater to even do.
Exactly.
Right?
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks for at
I
least
know
looking
that.
out for us.
I'm going to give you that credit.
Yeah. So I started making skate videos of all my friends. I would sell those to local skate shops. And then the big hustle was I realized I could go. One time I went to my cousin's Little League football game. And I had all this editing software and everything on my computer from editing skate videos. And I figured out that I could film the games, go home, edit them, burn them onto DVDs, make a nice little cover. And the parents had never seen anything like it. And so I would come back each week and I would sell them the video of the game from before. And then I would go to other games.
Were you at the games?
I just went there one time with my aunt to watch my little cousin play football. And I'm like,
so your cousin's playing?
Yeah. And I was like, do you think that I could do this? Do you think there's a
got
market for this?
You got it in you.
So that's the story. So, but that being said, I wouldn't say that I had much knowledge in actual like business or, economics or really how to do this shit. So then I moved to LA, started doing the TV show stuff.
What happened though? How'd that happen?
Which one?
Just the TV, the fuck, how did that happen?
Okay, so here's the funny transition. So I'm selling DVDs, and then I also had my high school graduation. Mm-hmm. I gathered all that money together, money from my family from graduation, money from all the DVDs. It was like $2,500.
Right.
I thought I was rich. And so I graduate I guess you graduate in June? The plan is I'm going to go, there's a new skate park opening in Ohio. I'm going to go skate all weekend. I'm going to come back. I'm going to figure out how to move to LA. I'm going to get on West Side Rentals or whatever, figure it out. I go to skateboard.
So right away, you're ready to, you're like, I'm moving to LA.
Oh, I'm ready. I skipped the day of school where you did your SATs and ACTs. Like I skipped it because there was like no question.
So you just knew it's something inside you.
Yeah, because I'll tell you the real reason. Because LA is the skateboard capital of the world. There's nothing like it. And so I was so in love with skateboarding. I'm like, I'm just going to move there, figure it out. I'll work at a skate shop if I have to. I don't care. I just want to live in LA. There's skaters everywhere, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Babes,
skaters,
brewskis.
Ugh, the dream.
Blunts.
And the dream. And so I go skate at this skate park opening for the weekend. Literally like a movie scene as we're leaving, me and my friends, to go to the car. Weekend's over. I'm about to go back home and plan my trip to LA. I fall going down the stairs, skating down the stairs, hit my head, fracture my skull, brain bleeding, in a coma for 4 days.
How are you gonna skip by that when you gave us your
Well, listen, hey,
so guy that gave us his little beginning of it just totally skipped this.
This was a good place to put it.
So you were fucking what?
It's on the sheet, Mike.
Yeah. I haven't even looked at it. I don't need it.
It's on your notes, Mike.
Hey, I don't need it. Hey, I want everyone paying attention. John Kilmer is executive producing this thing, and he's doing a fucking dandy of a job. We've had 2 podcasts today. I had notes for all of them. I actually have notes for ones tomorrow, I think, already, too.
It's better when they just
John,
flow.
I tip my hat to you.
John, thank you, man.
What the fuck was I just saying? What was I just talking?
My brain trauma.
Yeah, so you literally were incapacitated for 4 days, just out.
Yeah. So I remember eating breakfast. I woke up 4 days later.
What the fuck?
And then I was like, what the fuck? And the craziest thing is you go look in the mirror and I had a little baby beard at the time, but your facial hair is a little longer, your fingernails are a little longer. And I couldn't, the craziest thing was I couldn't read. Food had no taste. I went home to get on my beloved computer and I hit Internet Explorer or whatever. And I didn't know what to do. I was just staring at this, it was my brain God. Reset. And it took weeks for me to slowly.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Slowly words just started making sense.
Is that the norm?
I think that nothing's the norm with a head injury, right? I think anything can happen, but I think
that's so scary.
Kind of rebooting is
that's scary to experience. That's you gotta share more about that experience. So were you were you tripping out? Did you think you were fucked for life? You must have thought you were fucked for life. Could you sleep?
So I slept, but the crazy thing was I hit kind of the back left side of my head. I could not, and I still don't do it to this day, could not sleep on my left side or I would throw up for weeks. I just felt crazy.
Holy shit.
And I literally thought I was devastated. I couldn't read. I couldn't use my computer. The world didn't make sense.
How long could you not read?
I think 2 or 3 weeks.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And words, you just would look at words and they didn't say anything. It was just what are those? Like, it was fucking weird. But you knew they were words, but you're like, what is that? And I'm telling you, bro, I spent all my time on my computer editing videos and shit. I went home, clicked. I'm like, at least I have my computer. God. Clicked on my computer. Safari opened up, and I was like, like, what do you do with this?
Yeah, this
like,
is fascinating.
Fuck,
I've never heard it like this. So it slowly starts to come back. Are you like, holy shit, this like...
It just slowly, it's like any injury, right? Like you break your...
When did this happen?
Right after high school graduation, so June.
And then this crazy shit happens after. It was like all meant to be.
It
crazy.
Was nuts. That period of my life was nuts. So I reboot my brain. I obviously now my plans to go to LA are screwed because I can't read, right? So, so like shit, man.
Oh my god, dude, that's so wild.
Yeah. So then
shit.
I go.
You make me sound like a pussy with my arm injury, man.
No way. Because at least I don't remember shit. Wow. So I go to the doctor for like my checkup, and what happened was, I don't know, and I still don't know enough about this as much as I should. But something about the skull fracture created a blood clot in my brain. So they're like, look, we got to wait for this to clear. You can't go anywhere. You can't travel. You can't anything until this clears. And I kept going back every month for CAT scans, and it wouldn't clear.
Wow.
And so they were like, we don't know what to do. Like, we can't let you leave. So finally in November, I moved here on November 10th. And in November, they were like, look, it's still there, but you can go. And here's the thing. If you have seizures, if you faint, whatever, you got to come home. And so I was scared shitless. You know, like when you
drive out here?
No, I flew.
You flew, you psycho.
Yeah, like fuck it, man. Hopefully it clears. Hopefully the pressure clears that blood clot. But I like, you know, like when you stand up too fast, you get lightheaded. I would do that, and I'd be like, damn, I'm dying. Like, here's the stroke. It's finally coming. And like, I was just a wreck. Like I was.
Dude, of course.
Yeah, and then you're in this new city.
So you came out to LA like a fucking retarded version of yourself. Sorry, can I say that? I don't mean it.
Hey, it's about me, so I give you permission.
Fuck, whatever, man. I don't put anything, but shit. So you can't. So that takes so much sack to even do. But your parents were like, cool.
My parents knew that
you can go out and you can't read. Could you read?
I could read by then.
You could read. Yeah, so shit was coming back.
Yeah, I was pretty good by then.
You were pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, like I still wasn't like.
I thought you came out here like,
I hear. Hello?
Which way? How do you cross the street?
Where's Studio City? And so I was good, but I wasn't like skateboarding because it was still, if I hit my head again, like I'm done. And so I came out. That's when I connected with Rob, my cousin. So Rob, here's the quick story of Rob, like with me. Rob is my second cousin. He's lived in LA since
Dyrdek.
Rob Dyrdek, yep, who we went and did
fucking
a bunch of shows
star.
with, rock star. So he moved to California when I was 3 years old, and his family is from like 4 hours away from where my family was. So we didn't know him. We just knew we had this cool cousin that was a skateboarder in LA. So
you must have been like slightly fascinated with him being such a huge skate guy.
I was so fascinated. He was my hero.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. He was the sickest dude ever to me.
I love that.
Yeah. So here's what happened. My brother is 4 years older than me. He's significantly better than me at skateboarding. Mm-hmm. When he was 18 years old, Rob saw a video of him skating, was like, yo, you should come out and skate with me for the summer. I think you could really make something of this. Mm. So my brother did it. I was devastated because I was like, oh my God, this dude is in LA skating with Rob. And this is when Rob first met Big Black, and they filmed the skits that they did for the DC skate video. That's when the whole Rob and Big Black thing started. Yeah. It started because Rob came up with a skit idea for a skate video. Then they actually became homies. They were living together, and somebody saw them and was like, this is something.
This is a show, yeah.
So my brother is in LA skating with Rob and Big Black, and he went to Barcelona, Spain with them. He went everywhere, and I am devastated. 14 years old, devastated. So finally, when I turned 18, I hit up Rob, and I'm like, yo, man, like, I'm not nearly as good at skateboarding. I can't read, but like, just give me, like, let me do anything. Like, I'll clean your floors. I'll fold your laundry. I'll whatever.
At this point, was he already on TV?
No, he was just a pro skateboarder. And that's where the name Drama came from, is I wrote him this long email. And my email, I thought I was cool. I wanted to be a rapper or something. And my email address was Causing Drama. And he just wrote back to this long email and said, Causing Drama? What the fuck is wrong with you? And I was like,
Like I ruined it.
That was my chance, and my stupid email just blew my whole life.
Little
So
you know is the
exactly, little I know is the precursor.
Exactly.
So when I moved here, he was like, "This is my cousin, Drama. Here's who he is. He wants to be a rapper," and he told everyone that.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know you started out as wanting to be. Did you make records?
No. It just was like,
You
like
were thinking you wanted to be that.
just thought, I thought I was significantly
sauce for
cooler
it.
than I was. Thank you for that, at least.
You had the sauce for it.
So
Same as like dealing with looked like a weed dealer. Same.
right?
There's
Come on.
There's alignments
That
there.
could have been my life. So I came out. He introduced me to everyone as Drama. I was like, I'll do anything, man. Like, I'll clean the floor. I'll do
It's the right attitude, baby.
And at first, there was no job. There was no nothing. He was a pro skateboarder at the time. He had an assistant already lined up, ready to start. So
Who could read and write?
who could read, write, and use a computer. So
All at the same time.
and sleep on both sides.
Crazy.
So I'm ready to go home already, because I think it was like Christmas time or whatever. His assistant, thank God, quit last minute before he was supposed to come up to LA. He comes out into the living room, is so mad. He's like, "Yo, you want to be my assistant?" And I'm like, "Bro, I don't even know what an assistant is. I don't know what an assistant does, whatever." And I'm like,
Rob is saying this.
Rob said it. And so I'm like, screw it, I'll try it. Like, what do I have to lose, right? It's this or the skate shop. And so I went home for Christmas, came back out. I started as his assistant. So
That's like me having, not to cut you off, that's like me having this guy. I had him as a tour manager for like 4 days. Yeah. it was it was just something to be around at the time.
Yeah.
As I went on really quickly, I saw like I just needed his energy around.
Yeah.
As we even, it wasn't like that's a case of you not being an assistant at heart, but just like being around, just being willing to do whatever, you know. Go
anything.
ahead.
And I think even to this day, like, there's nothing better than like your boy or your family member or somebody that's willing to do anything.
Really is.
That's the best combination. A lazy homie's bad.
Bad.
And, whatever, even a hired person that's really a good worker isn't as good as like someone you trust that is flawless.
There's just like, there's no intangible, like you can't quantify the value.
No.
That like, it's the way I'm able to like enjoy things.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to enjoy, I don't think I'd be enjoying much of this if I didn't have my guys that I came up with. Like I just wouldn't, it would be for what? My parents aren't here. Like no one I love or grew up with or anybody have any real affiliation with is here seeing this. So now I'm just going to go back and tell them some diluted version of the memory.
Yeah. It's so
What are we
important.
even doing? Like that's just part of the shit that I like battle with now. Just my family on the other side of the country. Like when your it's a rap bar. When your relatives can't relate, it's scary.
100%. I have that to the fullest.
Yeah, like and I have amazing fucking family and parents, like the most blessed. But just this idea of like, I can't. It just sounds like a bunch of jargon when I'm like a bunch of nothing. Like when I'm talking about what's going on with the records and like,
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, this is where I was at. I was doing it, and then like they have no fuck. Like just it's crazy when you realize that. And it's like, what's it all for? We just got sidetracked.
No,
But
it's
continue.
trippy. It's another thing that like can make you feel really lonely,
For sure.
So anyway,
you're his assistant.
So I'm his assistant. Then, getting to the point, then, all of a sudden somebody comes up with the idea, gosh, you guys are so good. Rob and Big Black, you guys are so good. You should do something, a show or like whatever. So that whole process, I'll just speed it up. That whole process lasted about 1.5 years of maybe we could do something to like shooting a pilot to shooting another pilot. Rob and Big was 9 pilots with 9 different names.
Wow.
Before it was finally called Rob and Big, and it was just about them having fun.
Crazy.
Like they tried to package it into all these different Rob Dyrdek's rules for success, Rob Dyrdek's rules for friends, whatever. Finally, it was just Rob and Big.
Mike Stud does America. That's what they tried to do.
Yeah.
We had a show.
Yes.
It was just a one season we did with Esquire Network.
Yeah, I watched
The
it.
only reason we did it with the Esquire Network is because they were the only network. Like when we did the original pilot, it was the most racy, sexually charged shit you would like look back on now and be so embarrassed of. And like it would have been a hit. It would have been like Jersey Shore, but like with a rapper and like an entourage, and it was like real.
Yeah.
And we were like having fucking threesomes, and like we were just letting it fly. The pilot was bonkers. You know what I'm saying? Like they were like coming in on the room, like I'm like and like walking out with 2 girls, like you know what I'm saying? Like wild shit.
Yeah.
All the broskies just getting it in, like
so good.
parents, family. Like it would have been a train wreck though.
But was Esquire the only one that let you like
Esquire
be a
was
little
doing it,
wild?
bro. we were editing the fucking TV shit. Like, we were editing shit in our fucking living rooms. Like, we'd be like, no, that scene is, send us. And we would, you know what I mean?
That's
like,
what you
that's why
want.
we did it with Esquire. And we knew that they were going to be folding.
Yep.
But we were like, fuck it. This will be a way we could at least have a product we're like proud of.
Yeah, it's so smart.
It was still a challenge.
Yeah.
But like, there was a few times like I was talking to the network, like, yo, I'm pulling the plug on this shit.
Yeah.
Like, they were just like, it's not going to be about drama. You know, like, I get that it has to be. Like, I met middle ground with there was a bunch of middle ground meetings. You know, wasn't like, yo, this is how it's got to be.
Of course.
But like, we really fought back and like got a pretty good middle ground to where I can go back and watch it and fuck with it.
Yep.
And like, it didn't fuck up my career because I just had this vision of like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not a mainstream artist by any means, actually the polar opposite.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, this is their first introduction to me.
Yeah.
Like, so you're not going to be able to take the records. Like, I know where my records are going. And like, there's this maturity in it. And I know what we're going to do. I had bigger plans for this. And the fact that this would be like a slippery slope in the sense of like, oh, it'd be amazing to have some TV success.
Yeah.
But do I want to have a reality show for 3 years about like rah sex, wild shit, you know, the rock and roll of it, which we have that element a lot, or, you know, and then that's how people will always first associate me with is that, because really it'd be, if we were to do it at MTV at that time, you know, this was 4 years ago, it just would have been more like, it was right trailing the Jersey Shore shit, kind of like could have been that.
Yeah.
And it would have been great, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't think it was we're thinking bigger picture. You have to.
You did it right.
And it's like one of the things, bro, I had like, I had sleepless nights about it because I had never done a record deal, and that was kind of what the show was about.
Yeah.
Like, yo, this kid's doing independent, and these are his friends, like, and they work for him, and it's a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
You know, that's really what it was.
Yeah.
But like, at least I'm able to. I knew like I was showing them the real shit. You know what I mean? And I'd be able to move on from it, no matter, like, I obviously don't know where my career is gonna go exactly, but I just knew it couldn't be. It couldn't be that. So I'm so happy that we didn't pull the trigger on it, because it really was like I hadn't done a record deal at that point, you know? So this felt like, oh, I held out and it was all worth it because this is the whole reason I'm getting a show. But now I'm going to sign over a deal with the devil to show it.
Yeah.
And it was like this big paradox for me. Like, I'm like questioning. I was really questioning what the right play was, you know, because it kind of felt like I was doing a deal where it was like, I don't have creative control, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm really happy we did it with Esquire, because we really did have creative control, and that, thank God for them, because probably would have never happened. And it was a big part of my career, getting me over the hump of like a little more validity, a little more shit to talk about, you know, a whole new excitement. Plus my friends, they were getting paid, and, you know, our fan base, like, if anything, all it did was just solidify the people more and more that they fucked with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were who we thought. Like, these guys are who we thought they were, you know? That type of shit.
It's so important. You did it so well. I watched it.
Fire.
You did it so well. And I think that's hard to do, is like take opportunities, but stay clear of the things that could really do damage long term, and like have only upside of an opportunity like that is hard. But you did it. You nailed it.
So back to, we got sidetracked on my shit, but
No. And
so I want to know, I just want to know, so Robin Big happens, right?
Yep.
It's a hit right away.
Yeah.
Is it?
It was.
Rocket right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Are you on Robin Big?
Very slightly.
But you're around.
Background, getting picked on.
Are you getting paid?
No. So the deal was I get like $500 for every episode I'm in. You know, season 1 I was in like 2 episodes. Season 3 I was in 3 episodes. You know, so whatever. That was so I think I made a total of probably like, I don't know, $4,000 from maybe 3 from Robin.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's what you know, like,
that's it. That's the game.
These guys got obviously more. They were on it way more.
You know what? Why not, man?
Trying to get you a little lubed up.
That's I like that. Oh yeah.
So after this, I
I
want to be honest. Before this, I waxed James Conner. When I say waxed, I smacked him the first 2 games. He came back, made it 2-2, and then I came through in the clutch. But drama, we've had a banter for how long? Probably about a year or so, when you were posting all those videos.
Yeah, I would argue maybe 2 years.
2 years about like when you come see me and get to work.
Yeah, I think I posted something on YouTube that said I'm unbeatable at ping pong.
And and it really ruffled my feathers.
Yeah.
I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
You know, I had to let him
Thought
know.
that was the end of our friendship.
This is actually, we'll dive into your life here, but then I'm gonna take your soul before you go.
Good luck, man. I told you that we should do it after the pod, not before, because I didn't want you to hate me while we, so what's up with your stupid
I think
life?
This is better. I don't even know if we'd be able to open up after what I did.
I think I'd be fine. I think I wouldn't want your fans to see like a tear, like in the.
Hold on, come on. Are we good?
We're just at like an hour, 10, hour 15.
Fuck it, we're rolling.
Just so you know,
We're cruising.
This is gonna die in like 5-10 minutes.
It is.
Yeah, but it's okay.
So when that happens, we'll have our wide regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fuck it.
Yeah, let's cruise.
We'll go for like another 20 or 30,
I'm not tripping.
whatever.
So, you know.
Just a dialed in guy over here.
I mean, we're just covering education system and mindfulness.
You gotta do it for the kids back home. You gotta do it for the kids.
It's good.
All right. So, anyways, Robbing Big's a hit.
Mm-hmm.
You're around it. You're not getting to the bag really, but you're around it. You're getting a little taste of the fame, probably.
Yeah, I see the bag.
You see the bag. Where are you living?
In Studio City at the Archstone. I don't know what it is now. They just renamed it.
We're in Studio City.
We are in Studio City.
Full circle.
Right down the street in a studio apartment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Rob's in.
Rob was living at for Rob and Big, Rob was living at the house, which is right up off of Barham, right in Studio City.
Oh, they're in Studio City too.
Yeah, like when you come down the 101, like the first exit is Barham,
Okay.
which takes you down into
I don't
Burbank.
drive really much.
Of course you don't. Life's good. But
Versace, man, the guy takes care of me. He's like
So
my
good.
fucking mom and dad squeezed into one person.
So
It's
good.
insane.
So either way, right down the street, Rob was living at that house while we were shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Then he moved up into the hills, and things were going well. But yeah, I was in multiple apartments in Studio City.
Now we're gonna just go on another tangent.
Yeah.
What the fuck was Rob like during this? Don't give me a cookie cutter shit.
No,
too.
I won't.
Was he like bawling the fuck out? He's definitely a humble motherfucker. I could tell he's just like the man.
Yeah, he's humble.
I'm a fan. But he went from nothing to like kind of being the fucking big dog.
Yeah, he
pretty
did.
fast.
You want to know? I'm gonna be really honest about him though.
Kept
he
it-
doesn't really have that like. God, he balls out. Like now, he balls out. Now he's got like 3 Ferraris and a Bentley and a whatever, and like a whatever, like his $100,000 watch, and like just he's living, but he's also not like posting it and shit. Like he's never been. Yeah,
he got it like that. That's how you're
know.
supposed to be, bro. That's
It's
how I'm gonna be
true.
when I have it like that. And I do have some. I'm hopefully by the time I get that rich, I'm hoping that I don't even give a fuck at all to even buy it.
Yeah.
I still like. I went and got a Rolex and like I barely wear it, but I'll still put it on. And like part of me, like I'm the new wave I'm on. I'm just like. Got that Rolex for other people. I got that Rolex for other people.
That's true. I've been through that too. But you want to know? I feel like there's phases. I feel like there's like balling even though you don't really got it. Then there's so rich you don't even need it. And then there's like so rich for so long that it doesn't bother you one way or another if you have 3 Ferraris or not. Right? It's just like, and I really
Don't
feel
matter.
like
That's how, exactly. What does it matter? Does
what's it even matter? Like it's fun.
What's his vibe right now?
So now he's like super family guy. So let me just say, to answer your question, he was always like super fun to be around. He's this really cool combination of one of the funniest people that I have ever met, absolute undisputed genius when it comes to creating like that
Creative
TV show.
genius, yeah.
He created 99% of that TV
He
show.
kind of the godfather of this whole shit. Like the kind of like
I feel like he invented
do content your way type
Yeah.
shit, like vlogging. Like that show is kind of like a vlog.
Yeah. I feel like he invented like Logan and Jake Paul and
he's
that whole
he's
crew.
the godfather of this shit.
Yeah. So anyway, that, and then when he works, he's very like serious and gets to the point, and like
So
there
does
is
he
no
tell you like, yo, shut the fuck up?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like he is very to the point and like not mean, not whatever, but just like not silly, dude.
No fuck
not
shit.
like doing cartwheels. You know what I mean? He's really about his shit, but he's also the funniest dude in the world. So
Wow.
So now, so anyway, so he bought out a little bit. I remember he bought a Bentley. I remember when he bought his first Ferrari, I had to like try to convince him to buy it. I'm like, bro, you deserve to like ball out, like post that shit on Instagram. Like, well, and he was like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't really need that. You know, he doesn't have that part of him that's like the ego. Like, I got to show that I'm killing it.
That's
He doesn't
why he's
care.
winning.
Yeah. And that's why people love him, because like he doesn't do all that shit, you know? Now he's super family guy, has 2 kids. still
Smashing
works.
ridiculousness, but like not really.
Still does
They still
ridiculousness.
going ham with that?
They still do it. They're just, I mean, it's just nonstop. They film
Rob,
like 3
bring me
episodes
on, bring
a
me
day.
on the motherfucking.
Yeah, we gotta try to set that up. I'll text them after this. So working super hard. He also has a business where he invests in other companies and helps them grow. Is crazy about his family, and they just have the most fun in the world. And
He's the man. He's the best dad.
his love and life. He's the best dad. Yeah, he's a great
So he
dude.
he kind of like showed you how to handle the fame in a sense.
Yeah, I always say like I've had a million like mentors or like, you know.
He's the real one though.
Well, and he's the one like my parents were great. They taught me the value of family and basic like sort of how to be a good dude.
Right.
Rob taught me, and Big Black and that crew taught me like how to deal with this world, girls and partying and who to be around, who to not, like the real shit. And then I've had a million business mentors and all that stuff. But what Rob really taught me more than anything was like the hustle. Like I said, I've always had that entrepreneur spirit, but when I came out here and saw him, like it clicked of like, that's some shit. Like, cause even early on in Rob and Big, he was negotiating deals in the kitchen for his DC Shoes contract, trying to get.
You saw the value. You saw what it was about.
And I saw him say like, look, how much for this Red Bull deal if I put a Red Bull machine in my kitchen and it's on every episode of the show, and then I'll design shirts that you can sell. You know, like I saw like finessing, right? And leveraging marketing and media to lead to, you know, whatever.
It's crazy that your idol turned into your mentor. You know what I mean?
And is now
you'd idolize him. Now
friend.
he's and just to see the evolution of that.
Yeah.
Shows you're exactly on the right path.
Yeah.
That's the exact trajectory everyone wants.
Yeah.
Turn your idols into your peers.
Yeah. Now he's my dude. Now
you
he's
turned
like
your
my
idol into your
fucking
peer,
brother.
which not many people could say that.
Yep. 100%. There was a small window, 6 months, where we live right down the street from each other.
And you're like,
and I'm so proud of that moment. I was like, Rob, I'm your fucking neighbor. And then he moved to like a house like 5 times the cost. Later. I'll never see you again.
Hey, you're on the way.
Yeah. But so anyway,
your life will probably be that.
You're
about to move in soon, and then he's gonna be like,
yeah. He's like, sorry,
we're upgrading.
Yeah. So whatever. He was a huge, obviously, effect on my life then.
Yeah.
Then since I've had all these business mentors and these people that kind of got me to this place and, you know, all that stuff. And then to answer your original question, I started Young and Reckless because I knew from the moment that reality TV came into our world that it was an opportunity to try to seize, but that I didn't want to be like a celebrity for the sake of being a celebrity. That seemed like the wackest shit ever to me, was to try to like chase that. And that was like,
that's cool because most people would be like, of course I'm gonna do it. Of course, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got it. I'm right here. Like, I'm already kind of. Most people would lean into that
because that path is like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go do club appearances your whole life with Snooki?
It's a train wreck.
Great, sick. You know, like what the hell?
Yeah.
So I kept searching for shit to do.
It's a fucking train wreck.
I kept searching for shit to do. I was a music producer for a while. I had
I was gonna ask you about that as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
God, this guy's got layers, man.
I had a microwave burrito company.
Not to cut you off. Kilmer's fucking stressed now. He's been working all day. Hey, we're gonna talk until the fucking wheels fall off.
We're running
fucking gear
we're
up.
running these iPhones
Trade
out.
that for a Red Bull. Let's keep this shit going. That's a great time to cut. I see him stressing out. He's looking.
It's like 9 minutes. I just want to like clear space. You just keep. I don't know.
No, that's good. You know what? I'm gonna pee real quick.
Go ahead. I need to pee too.
We'll be right back with You Never Know, You Know What I Mean, right after this urination break.
What was my point?
Because of the luck of the time frame, if you were started now.
Yes, the time. Like, if I were to start out now,
Yeah.
it wouldn't work. The oversaturation of how much motherfucking music is out there.
Yeah.
Also, how many people with content on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, when I was started, it was almost like a little bit before even the YouTube era.
Yeah.
In the sense of being a YouTuber.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But not trying to just like I'm not trying to pump you up, but like it's that the spirit is the same.
The spirit, exactly.
So like when you did your thing, people were like, damn, what is he doing? Like he's taking a unique route. Like you would have found a unique way to approach what's happening now, and the same thing would have happened.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
It's the spirit that matters.
But either way, it's just like, I don't, at least even the way I did it, independent, like it would have never, it's just so, through the entire thing, it's been a huge teaching point. Like, bro, everything, you have to follow your intuition.
Yep.
Every single thing is happening for you.
Yep.
If you're allowed, if you can get your mind to wrap around that and actually just not even question it, believe it.
Yeah.
Because there was times where I'd be like, I was going to these record deal meetings and it was just like, nobody got it.
Yeah.
And they would offer me these deals and be like, I'd be like, yo, I would have a full meeting about the number one thing I needed was creative control. Yeah. And then as soon as our lawyers started talking, creative control is off the board.
Yeah. Of course.
So I'm like, all right, so they didn't listen to anything, so fuck these guys. So there was a time where I was just like, all right, whatever. Like, I felt a little sorry for myself in the sense of like, why can't people get me just because the way I look or whatever, you know?
Yep. That's the hardest shit, is to
and it
not
really,
like succumb to that.
Yeah, and
you know?
now you look back on it and it's like, this is the only way it would have worked for me.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't have worked another way. I really don't think so. Just, you know what I mean? Like if I had done the deal and maybe had some hit records then, it just, the word music is the ebbs and flows of like, think about, when I started, Spotify didn't fucking exist. Think about that.
Crazy, yeah. That's how I feel about like e-commerce.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
The whole, like, it's an amazing time to be alive and be a creative and be a business person who's tuned in, because these new opportunities, and it's just crazy. Like every day there's a new opportunity. It's like makes it exciting to play the game.
Yeah, it does.
You know?
I agree.
Spotify is now the pulse. It didn't even exist then. Yep. So it just goes to show how much the musical, like this whole landscape has changed.
That's how, I mean, when I started my clothing line, Instagram didn't exist.
That's wild.
And now there's like,
how much of your commerce is off Instagram now?
Oh my God. I mean, the majority. When it comes to, if you tie in organic Instagram, just brand awareness, and then the ads we run and the influencers we work with and all that stuff, it's literally like vast majority. But here's even more what's crazy. My friends who started the company called Revolve, you're familiar with them. Yeah. They just...
What the hell does Revolve do?
Revolve is like...
Because I see it everywhere.
Okay, so picture, this is the easiest way to explain it. Picture, it's just an online... clothing retailer. Right. So a picture like when you walk through Macy's and it's ghost town and you're like, what the fuck? What they should have done was created Revolve. But instead, Revolve created Revolve, and they just went public last week and now they're worth $3 billion. I love it. And the majority of their marketing is done with influencers on Instagram. I see that.
That's where I see it. That's why I knew.
Exactly. So something that didn't exist when I started Young and Reckless, a company just went public off of using that as their platform and now they are worth $3 billion. Wow. That's how fast shit changes, you know?
So Young and Reckless, was it a start in your house type thing?
Yeah. So it was a started in my bedroom, write down names, try to figure it out. Everyone always asks me where I got the name. And the only thing that I think I can track it back to is
fire name.
Thank you, man. Thank you. There was a line.
It stood the test of time.
It did. There was a line that Kanye had that I always used to repeat because he said, you know what the Midwest is? Young and restless. And I'm from the Midwest, so I was like, oh yeah, we're Young and Restless, whatever that means. And so I think when it came time to start a clothing line, I remembered being in high school and the biggest brand, how old are you?
30.
Okay, so the biggest... How
old are you?
32.
Oh, yeah.
So do you remember Famous Stars and Straps? It was Travis Barker's company. It was the F with the star in it.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was in high school,
Lil Wayne would wear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kids used to walk around with like famous shirts, and they really thought they were famous in Akron, Ohio, because they had famous on their shirt. So I remember when I was starting a brand, I'm like, I want to think of something that will make people feel that way.
That's cool.
And I think I had this know what the Midwest is, Young and Restless thing. And so I was like, Young and Reckless, like we don't give a fuck, like we just do blah, blah, blah. And so that was the name. Came up with it, had my buddy design some logos. Funny part of the story, because the first biggest thing that Rob ever did for me was give me the like spark of inspiration to see that it's possible to be, you know, whatever you want to call it, a entrepreneur, soldier. Yeah. But then he also, I went to him and said, this is my idea. Let's do it, dude. And he said no. And I was like, what? Like it felt like my brother was moving to LA all over again without me. Like I was like,
what do you mean?
How, what? Like, aren't you supposed to just kind of like wave your fingers at this and then I make millions of dollars? Like, isn't that how this transaction works? And he was like, I just don't have the time, man.
What
like
a teaching moment.
Yeah. He's like, if you want to do it, go do it. And I was devastated, but it forced me to go take meetings, find partners, sit in a room with people I did not know at all, pitch them my idea, start working with them, hire employees. I always say, if he would have helped me, not because of him, but if he would have helped me and we would have went and did some deal, Young and Reckless wouldn't be around anymore. Young and Reckless is still around and still doing so well because I am it. I understand it top to bottom. Yep. I live it every single day. That's the only way. So I always say that was the second like biggest thing he ever did for me.
That's fire.
So he did that. I went around, took meetings, came up with the name, rushed it.
I think people need not to rush by that. I think people this is like kind of why I wanted you on this.
Yeah, well,
like these insights, because so many kids reach out to me, and they're going through a hardship or they're going through something where they feel like they're lost.
Yep.
And one of your favorite moments now in hindsight is when the guy let you down and said, "I can't do it," when you expected that he would. Yep. And I think that's like the huge teaching moment that I think what I'm trying to fucking do with this is just like, here's all these people, these successful people, and in their hindsight, they could teach you so much about what your approach could be to what these hardships are now for you, because we've already went through it. Yep. Like, bro, I have my the day I had surgery tattooed on my wrist as a reminder because I thought it was the worst day of my life. It turned out being the best day. Yeah. And that's the same thing where at a smaller capacity, obviously, but like him saying no, it just made everything you've become. Yeah. It probably ignited all that.
100%. And it forced me, I don't even know how to put it into words. Like it forced me to build the actual knowledge and to build an actual foundation as a human being. Mm-hmm. And like you can go through life, and some people do, and they're really lucky and people look out for them, or maybe you're born in an incredibly rich family or whatever, and that's great. I'm not mad at those people, but I think those people are always searching for a little bit more.
What else is there?
Right?
You just hit a ceiling so fast that you're like, all right, so like you really can't go up. Really, technically, like if you start rich and like you can just do everything and you're plugged into the highest of society, like like they said Gandhi was like, actually the reason he became what he was because he was actually born a prince. Yep. And the fact that he got to like his teenage years and was like, I already have everything. Like, what else am I gonna do another 40 years of this? Like,
that's the same way that
and he
Buddhism
went out into
began.
the woods and let go of all of his possessions. Mm-hmm. And that's where he learned that that's really where the value, and like he learned everything. Yep. But it goes to show you, even people use that. Like I came from regular ass shit. So did you. Like it's just so doable nowadays. Yeah. It's so there's no limitations. The limitations are only in your mind. Like think about it. You could start a business. You could go to your fucking McDonald's job because you have to pay the bills. I get it. Yeah. Don't like so many people say that. I hate that. Like, oh, you don't have to pay. Like, bro, you can do that, and then in your bed, you can learn about something, anything you want to learn. You can learn it in and out to the point where you can start to do it yourself. And you can monetize. You could start a company, and you could be sitting in your bed on your fucking phone. Yeah, and you're monetizing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's 100%. A crazy.
And some people just get that and live that way, and some don't. And I do think, I'm not one of those people that thinks, oh, you either get it or you don't, and that's just how life is. I think you can learn it. I think you can have, someone can wake you up. But like, even when I started a podcast, I worked all day, every day, running a clothing company. I learned in my off time how to start a podcast, what podcasts even were, all that stuff.
You were early.
Yeah. I wish I was a little earlier, but I was early, 3 years ago. So, but the point is, that's just the type of person that we are. Is like, you're gonna do that at night or whenever you have time, and that's how you're gonna launch the next thing that's gonna end up taking you to a whole nother place. And you just are that, or you aren't that. And I also think that one of the biggest things I've learned,
I don't necessarily, I do think especially with what's going on in the last like year of my life. Yeah. I believe in like the power of transformation so much. Oh yeah. And I know you do too. Yeah. But I think even that, like even just hearing somebody say this, like say there's a fan out there from, like I have a lot of Midwest fans. Yep. Just like thinking that they're limited because everyone in their environment's telling them they're limited, including their parents, the people they look up to. Yep. And it's just like, nah. Yeah. It's there's like, it's actually, it starts in that mind. And I know it's hard for a lot of people to understand. It starts in the mind, but really like we're perfect examples of it, but really there's no more excuses in my mind. Yeah. And this is what I tell people when I respond. I'm like, yo, your program, like dive back into, like, listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just dive back into yourself.
Yep.
Start meditating, start listening to positive things.
Yeah.
Focus on what you want to do, but there's no limitations. Like, we're not living in the era of limitations, even if you don't have shit, you know, like, I get
No, I couldn't agree more. And I'm not saying,
I know you do.
I'm not saying you are that or you aren't that locked in forever.
Right.
I'm saying if you're listening right now and you're saying, yeah, man, but screw you, you had blah, 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 blah. I'm just telling you, that's the sign that you're not it.
Right.
So correct it. Fix it. Like, we've heard stories, countless stories. This is dramatic, but we've heard countless stories of people having near-death experiences, surviving cancer, things like that. And they change and they find purpose and they find drive and they find all those things. Why? Because it was almost over. It was all almost pointless. And it finally made you dig deep and wake up. My point is, I think from all these podcasts and this type of stuff that we're trying to do and all the stuff that's out there, you can make that change before you're on your deathbed. It is possible. If it's possible that way, it's possible without it.
It just happened for me. And not even like the most traumatic thing of my life. The most traumatic thing was the baseball thing, but I just wasn't here mentally to even like, I realized in hindsight that I did manifest this next journey that I went on because I never took an L. Like, I wasn't ready to take an L on it. And I knew there'd be something else, you know?
It's funny because that's exactly how I feel. I always say, like, when I tell the story of my head injury, it sounds like the most devastating day of my life.
It really
wasn't. It wasn't, because it actually,
sounds
it
wild.
sucked, but it led me to all of this. The most devastating time of my life was that time I explained 4 years ago when I was lost. That was significantly worse than having to relearn how to read and taste pizza again, right? And it's interesting how we look
Really
back at that, you know, but that's my point. It is definitely changeable, but some people are just cursed. It's a disease, that attitude of like, you have it because of this reason and I don't because of this reason. Yeah, but you don't understand.
It's a poor programming, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty crazy to me. Like, you know, there's a similarity here because we both grew up with like small town vibe, you know, like it's so crazy. You don't like, it's really hard. It was really a huge awakening for me when I like took a step back and actually wrapped my head around this programming idea. Like, you grow up in this house, right? That house is programming you a certain way. You know, as you go on, you get older, you realize your dad's going through shit, your mom's going through shit, getting money to get by, you know, and shit you don't think about when you're a kid, you know? And then you're programmed from your community that you're in, and you're programmed from like, you know, especially before the internet, really the social media became so prevalent. Now you can kind of reach anywhere, you know, but like, all these people, like, everybody's a victim of their programming, and it's really just like the guys who can like create the awareness at a later stage in their life and be like, all right, some of these ideologies like that were instilled in me, or just like I marinated in because that was the community I was in, and it just kind of like made me feel like I used to be such a fighter. Anybody says something, be like, what, bro? Like, I would fight people for sport. I got in trouble. This is the first time I ever talked about this publicly, but I fucked this dude up bad, bro, on my 21st birthday. Fucked him up. He said some shit to me. Mike Stud was just happening. They were starting to play my records at the bar, and it was my birthday. I was fucked up. And this dude, this football player, like, said some shit to me. I just fucked him up bad. And just so happened, like, thank God, it was the worst night, another worst night of my life. I spent my entire 21st birthday in jail. So think about that. No one could reach me. Everyone thought I was dead. Like, you know, it's your 21st. Like, oh, we got too fucked up. No one knew where I was at. Like, you know, I was in D.C. I was at Georgetown. I was the new guy. I was the new guy who was a rapper and a baseball player. Like, think about how hard it was to like understand.
So you weren't like around your close friends that night?
No, I was with some fresh motherfuckers.
Got it.
And I was just I was in a weird headspace. Is that just hit close right there?
Oh yeah.
I think it might still be rocking. Yeah.
I
was just in this place, like, I can't, you know, Blue grew up with me. Like, I used to go fight all the time. I got kicked out of middle school. Like, I had a huge temper, and it wasn't even like that got me that angry. I was just like, fuck it. Like, it was like sport. Like, I could be laughing and fighting. It was weird. Like, it wasn't, looking back on it, I'm like, holy, that's so whack, you know? But really, bro, where we grew up, it was the shit.
Of course.
Like, we just like on some tough guy shit. Like, if anyone said, and then I was taking down bitches, and I was just like, you were the cool guy. Like, and I, you know, I played sports too, so it was just, it almost felt like it's all you go to learn. It's all ego.
Yeah.
But I had such a big ego from it. But I was also still like a nice guy still. But it's just like if you said something, man.
Yeah.
You know?
I get it.
And bro, to like to grow from what I was, I just had such a programmed mentality that was just so wrong.
Yep.
And like the realization of that
Yep.
was a whole other growth where I was just like, oh my God, man. Like you start to understand why people act a certain way. I start judging people less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just like, who knows what the fuck they're seeing over there? Because who knows what the fuck their dad was telling them, some sob story, some shit, like, and just like even racism, like that's all, it's all programming.
Yeah, 100%.
Everyone hates blacks where we're from in Alabama or whatever the fuck you are, like, and like, it's really not even their fault.
Yeah.
If you break it down, if you really break it down, it's like bigger than that. It's like,
it's nuts. That type of stuff is so like nuts and like when you start to get into it, it's like, man, it is just trippy. It's like,
it's wild.
And I'm not, like I said, I'm the farthest from like an expert on it, but it's just crazy how much of our perception of the world is formed from childhood or from chance. Even you said like about racism, like, and all different types of like hating any type of person just because can happen from also one interaction with one person. Yeah. And you can be like, you know what? All of them are bad.
Yeah.
And that's just the craziest thing that we work that way. It's the silliest thing in the world.
It's so silly.
But I think like that's, even if you like talk to like therapists or that sort of thing, that's what they're doing, right? Is like trying to break you free of those things that were programmed into you from a very young age. And I think the other thing that blew my mind is when I realized that so many of our thoughts, like if you, every time you get stressed, you bite your nails. We call that a habit. We call it a habit so freely and easily because we can see it and you're biting your nails. It's a physical thing happening. But really, it's all mental, meaning you're stressed, your brain is saying, bite the nails, right?
Because it relieves.
Exactly. But what we don't realize is the way that we react mentally is also a habit. It's just, and that's what the programming is it's just a habit. It's just something that was created.
You
if someone
said something
says
that
this
should
to me,
insult me, so I should be insulted.
Yep.
It should insult me because you said something that would, you know what I mean? Instead of just like, if you you're on the same way, you read a lot of the same shit. If you can bring it in as a conscious decision instead of your programmed reaction, the old Mike, been like, what, bro? Come on, all right, let's go, you know? Instead, you bring your decision into the conscious and you're just like, I'm not going to be insulted, man. Like,
100%.
Cool, man. Like, I actually sending you good energy, man.
Yeah, like I feel bad for you. You know what I mean?
If you're on my Instagram, like spending time out of your day to tell me you don't fuck with me, you're fucked up.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
100%.
A lot of people don't get that. Like the fact that you can even there's so much shit to consume. The fact that you can let your psyche be so derailed by something that doesn't affect you. Yeah. If you don't like it, you just move on to the next. I see a lot of shit I don't like.
It's insane.
You move on to the next thing.
It's insane.
You know?
But it only shows you what that person's going through.
Totally.
You know, and it sucks. But I agree. I think that these are the types of things, and not that I'm the expert. I'm still backed up. Not that I'm the expert, but but like I just think
one of us is still young and reckless.
That's right, man. What are you on, 5? God damn it!
Hey, I'm going in, man. Fuck it. Hey, you run a lot bigger operation than I do.
Sure.
So this is a big part of my vibe.
I feel the pressure.
Sometimes it's like I'm obviously a musician first, but it's like, because I've stayed independent, like I just love, so like there's never been an artist just like willing to like have these open conversations, really, if you think about it. Think about how big a podcast, not that I'm even close in the same stratosphere as Drake, but like he also has that personality, he's smart, there's calculated, you'd love to get a peek into his psyche. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to be like that, the dramas of the clothing, the Gary V's of the entrepreneurship, just the idea that like maybe I could just be all of this, even though it's kind of against what like anyone in hip hop or pop music would say. Like you can't really, you know what I mean? Like,
so I would argue that the same way that you just explained how you came up in your zone and you won because you were in that time zone, but in today's climate you couldn't do that. I would argue that this and that exact feeling that you just described is you doing it again because this is just you being you. And what you do is you have that instinct. And so now, 3 years from now, when people are like, damn, like Mike has all this audience on his podcast and then it relates to his music and they like the whole thing. How the fuck did he think to do that? You'd be like, well, I don't know. I probably couldn't have done it in today's climate.
Like you guys, you know?
Right?
Really.
But I think you have that good instinct, man. And that's the thing.
I mean, I think it's also when I said that quote about fucking intuition. Mm-hmm. If I could give anybody, and then really like everything you're saying is validating, every conversation I have with anyone who's successful validates that.
Yep.
You have to act on the intuition. That's the only way you're going to be fulfilled and be happy.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And my intuition, like people, they frown upon most of this shit that my intuition has told me.
Yeah.
Amongst my career. So many people are like, dude, you're dropping the ball. You missed all the deals. There was a time where I was getting so many deals. Like we were in that phase.
Yeah.
And then it came and went. Frat rap, the white rappers, the college guys came and went. Most of them died off.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Most people looking at me like, yeah, he was gun shy, you know?
Yeah.
But I just truly wasn't.
No.
You know,
Look
like
where your intuition got you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all it is.
Yeah.
You just have that
the biggest thing I could urge these listeners, like, your mom's not going to have your intuition.
Yeah. Yeah, period.
It's like, as much as we're all one,
Yeah.
right? Like, I forget who I was just listening to, but like, this blew my mind. Like, we're all one. I believe we're all interconnected, you know? I did mushrooms recently out in fucking Joshua Tree.
How was that?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Someone's calling me over there. Bobby Raps, fuck. Bobby, I'm sorry, man. I'm in podcast zone.
Bobby, we're
I'm supposed to work with Bobby Raps. Bobby Raps is fucking fire. Supposed to work with him after this. Fuck. What the fuck was I just saying?
God, you did mushrooms in Joshua Tree.
Yes. And it was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But the interconnected thing, dude, all my dogs, we all did it. We all would never really like tripped out psychedelically. Like we do drugs recreationally here and there, you know. But I'm talking about like going with a purpose. I don't want to do psychedelics and see things around bad energy around people in a dark like fucking on the rocks, you know, So we went out and got this crazy crib and we were like right under the fucking stars.
That's
like
so sick.
And we just sat there and fucking tripped out and we'd stare at the stars, bro, and it like told me everything.
Yeah.
That's
why I always hear about that stuff.
We all saw it. There's like a gradient grid, the energy grid. I didn't even know the energy grid. Like I didn't know about this. So like it wasn't like I went in with my psyche like I'm gonna go see the energy grid.
Yeah.
The stars were connected.
See, I always hear that type of stuff.
But like it wasn't just me, bro. Everyone saw it.
No,
like,
I believe
three other guys there. We were there with the same intentions, which is a big part of it.
Yeah.
We weren't trying to party really. Well, Kilmer felt like a jellyfish. He was dancing around the fucking. Kilmer's the lightweight of the group, but he's always there.
Yeah.
But we're looking at the fucking stars, and it's just all connected, man. And it's just like, oh shit.
Yep. Yep.
Like I almost felt like we were in a dome.
Yeah. That's the biggest feeling that I hear from that experience is this feeling more than you can describe of how we're all connected. You know what I mean?
And it was just like kind of what I left with. I was just like, I almost think like the earth is like a like in this weird world of like, the earth is like a bigger version of us. Yeah. Like think about how nature works.
Of course.
The birds chirp.
Yeah.
The sun rises. The rain falls, and the animal has this perfect animal. Every animal is perfect where they have evolved into their habitat, where they have a way of surviving.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like what's happening inside our body.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like, not to get too like Neil deGrasse Tyson, but like we are it. Like we look at ourselves as different.
Shit, I never read. Like I haven't got it. I like the shit that you've gone. I see you you read shit that's like way. Yeah. I'm not even ready for yet.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to be a little like I'm not trying to go full steam with this.
Yeah, you can't, or else you'll be over.
Yeah, I think I'm a little behind you anyway. Just like, but like either way, this is all just like. I remember just high as fuck and just like I had all these thoughts and I really hadn't, maybe I'd seen here and there what Neil deGrasse Tyson would say about the interconnection, but like, I was like, oh man, like I think the earth is just like, this planet is just like, it's kind of like we're the planet as well. Like if you were to take it at this micro level, like everything inside our nature is perfect too.
Yeah. 100%.
If you break down, like it's just a bigger machine. It's all X's and O's. Like it's all, you know what I mean? And I kind of had that experience.
Yep.
With the mushroom, where we did mushrooms and acid.
Yeah.
And it was the only time I've ever done it. And man, it was fucking. I don't know. What
Yeah, I've
the
heard
point
great
was, but
stories about it.
It
I
was
just-
fucking.
yeah.
So are you never a psychedelic?
I never have
guy?
done it, but I'm just getting to that
You have
point
to.
where, I feel like,
But just go do it the way we did it, bro.
Yeah,
Tell
I
him,
gotta
go
do
out
it
with
like
your
that.
lady.
Yeah.
He's got a great lady.
yeah,
Yeah, like
That'd
go
be
out,
good.
Go maybe the exact crib we went
yeah,
because it was
I might hit, yeah.
perfect for like. If it was like we were just being bros about it, but it's perfect for like you and your girl.
Yeah,
but
that'd
if
be
she
good.
wants, she's probably on this wave at least. Like
I could get her there.
yeah,
Yeah, if you go honeymoon suite
it's a
and like,
little
come
vibe
on,
scheme.
babe, we're gonna go
But, like,
take
what's
some
the-
acid.
Yeah,
like,
and it's just like
bond.
yeah, it was really fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I would recommend it. I think you're definitely ready for it. You're just so
Yeah, I got to do it.
you can
I just
digest
think
it.
it'll level me up a little. When it comes
Yeah.
to podcasts, I'll be saying some real crazy
I just came
shit.
out of it like
You know,
I
I'll
just
be like,
came out of it like
"Whoa."
my perspective was better. It was just like
Yeah.
yeah, man, like none of this shit that I stress over really matters.
Yeah.
We're all
I'm into that.
we're all connected and like
I want a little dose of that.
yeah. I also microdose acid.
I know a lot of people do that too.
I never I don't really share it. Well, now I do. But like it's honestly like it's just such a bad stigma about it because I got presented to it in such a respectable way that I was very scared of psychedelics. Like I'm 30, I just did my first trip.
Yeah.
So I've been microdosing on and not when I say on and off, just like I have a certain guy that supplies me. He doesn't charge. It's not a drug dealer.
Yeah.
He's a spiritual guy.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yo, he knew I was mentally ready, and he's like, yo. So it's really like I'll go have my regular day. I'll microdose. You're technically supposed. I shouldn't even get this deep into it. Either way,
You go about your regular day?
go about my regular day. There's no tripping. There's no. So this is 1/5 of what a hit would be.
Yeah.
So you know, and I'm already kind of a tank with this shit. Like, it takes a lot to knock me down. I need like a horse tranquilizer. So like, yeah. So I fucking like I'll take and it's nothing of the sort in a trippy, dude. It's just like it's like everything you want Adderall, almost like the Limitless pill, bro.
Yeah.
Not as extreme as the like, oh, I know everything.
Yeah.
Just like
Clear.
If you can go into it and just like cruise with it, you know. Yeah. But this guy like walked me through it, and he's actually got to he's got to stay nameless, but like he's putting on a lot of like people in music, people I'm around, like everyone's kind of catching the wave. But like it's this thing where Steve Jobs talks about it.
Yeah, it's big in the tech world.
Most of the best ideas in tech world, they credit to these retreats where they go out and microdose and full dose or whatever.
Yeah. They're all doing it.
Everybody.
I'll just tell you once again, remain nameless. A close friend of mine just got an invite from like a bunch of his friends that are tech guys that are going on a retreat, and they just do that a lot up there. And that's also the place that's leading the country in, you know, new businesses and technology. It just seems interesting.
But the microdosing, like it would be something where you just feel amazing.
Yeah.
Like there's no like. Basically, the dude who's supplying me, he's about 2 years into a study. He's gonna get his PhD through this study, but he takes it and he goes and gets CAT scans. And you want to know what those CAT scans say?
That life
There's
is sick on that side.
There's activity where there wasn't activity before.
Yeah.
So, and if you look up scientifically, like what brain cells, when they're awakened, they're looking for assignments.
Yep.
So if you go into this with the right intentions, you know, like, oh, I'm doing it, I just get fucked up.
Yeah.
Like I'm taking 1/5 of what that would do, and my intentions, I'm either working. I don't have to be working, but I'm not necessarily affiliating it with turning up at all.
Yeah.
And those new brain cells, like, what's on my mind? What am I trying to work on?
That's good. All right, I'm sold.
Now everyone's gonna become acid
This
addicts.
podcast brought to you by Microdosing.
All right. Let's wrap this. Did we cover enough? We didn't even cover enough. We'll do it again.
We'll do a
We're gonna
part
have you
two,
back.
bro,
We're gonna have you back.
anytime, yeah.
Listen. I want to show you this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. What?
So my first entrepreneurial. So I'm to give you a little background. Like, just getting into this space. I've been investing in cannabis and like just starting to fucking catch a wave. Really through relationships, I'm getting proper understandings of shit, and it's starting to win. You know. Yeah. But this is a project of like I'm like a guy who like watches every episode of Shark Tank twice. Like I just want to understand how these guys are wired and what they're thinking and like what ideas. You know. So I got.
You want to do one too? I mean,
No, I'll walk everybody
mini
through it. So listen. So listen,
this a
I get
mini beer bong?
Yeah, I get sent. So I get sent this. This company DMs me, and like I get so many DMs. I don't catch all my DMs.
Yeah, same.
And I usually take them as an omen if I get a DM. If I find myself like reading something instead of clicking out, like I'm in it, so I'm just gonna read what they have to say. Yeah. This guy's like, yo, I have this company, Chug Bud. Like I just love to send you some. And I looked at them and they were drinking things, and I was like, send them. They're sitting in my crib for like 2 days. I saw them, I'm like, cool, yeah. I get so many boxes from shit, so it's just like almost about to hit the road. Yeah. Somebody comes in, sees it, and I'm like having a conversation over here, and I see them do it. And I'm like,
with you, like one of your
I'm
homies
about to show.
it.
Yeah, one of my homies just came in. Was like, what is this? Like my boy Foley. You know, probably know Foley. Yeah. He does a lot of my creative. Yeah. He looked at me and we're just like, I'm gonna show you this. It's just like I saw the functionality of it, and I was like, wait, do that again. Like, let me see, pass me that. Then I did it, and I'm like, wow,
I'm excited.
And so essentially, I'll give you the.
Because you guys beer bong a lot, right? Like at your shows.
So like me and Post with friends
Post do it. Yeah.
Like beer bongs, like that guy. All we do is like beer bong beer and play beer pong. Oh, it's fine. So
I want to come get in on some of those beer pong, Mike Stud parties, man. I need it,
dude. Honestly,
I need a little bit of that.
It's kind of a shame you haven't been over here.
I know, man.
We've been
I can't tell if I'm offended or not.
We've been running it up. Yeah. No, you're just too corporate for us, man. You got shit to be at like 8 a.m., man.
I gotta stop acting.
I'm going to bed at fucking 6 a.m., bro.
God damn.
No, listen. All you do, I'm gonna give you the infomercial pitch, but really, I acquired 51% or half of the company. We're about to go public and crush it. But this is what we're gonna do. So, the same technology as a plumber, as a plunger.
That's it.
It's on. Simple as that. Shit. Right.
Son of a bitch.
That's it. A little longer than usual, but.
So,
son of a bitch, that's so much cooler than I thought. I was like, oh, it's a mini beer bong.
There's two ways of binge drinking a beer, right? There's shotgunning, which is it's a fucking train wreck. Pretty much everyone has to go outside because you're poking a hole in the side of the beer. You lift it up, you open it. One, you're like drinking out of a hole you made with a key in the side of a can. It's a train wreck. Yeah. There's just spilling. Yeah. So most people go outside. It's just a thing. It's a thing where it's like kind of extra. Once you're not 21 and in college, like it's not cool to really be doing it. You're almost like, why are you shotgunning a beer? Just drink it normal.
Yeah.
I happened to become close with Post. He brought us back into the beer game because we were off the beer game. We were drinking beer. We were drinking beer on tour so much. We're like, get the fucking beer away from us, you know? And we started hanging out with Post a lot.
He just lives that beer life.
We started hanging out with Post a lot. He's living, dying, breathing, smelling. Only thing he consumes is beer and cigarettes. So he come over here someday, like he'll just be here for like 5 days, like and just hide out here.
Yeah,
beer and cigarettes. But we play like maybe like 75 to 100 games of beer pong in 4 days. No exaggeration, like shit you'd never dream of. Yeah. How are these guys still playing beer pong? That's us. So anyways,
bro, invite me on game like 327.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
So really, back to the point, shotgunning, that's one. Yeah. And then there's the beer bong, which he loves, Post.
Yeah.
And we both sell beer bongs. He made a whole fucking, his album was called a Grammy 10 times. God, it's going to be a diamond album. It's called Beer Bongs and Bentleys. He's the biggest legend.
For like putting that on a pedestal. Legend. God damn it.
So anyways, the beer bong, he'd hit me. I'd be going to link up and be like, yo, bring the beer bongs. So I'd have Versace.
He really just like.
He's really about that life. Like me and him.
Casually does beer bongs on a Tuesday.
Yeah, dog. Like he's the most authentic motherfucker. Yeah. Like. Anyways, so he'd be like, bring the beer bongs. And Versace, like who carries all of our shit and takes care of us, have to have like 2 beer pongs like thrown over his shoulder. It's big.
Yeah.
And if you think about the functionality, you're opening the beer, you're pouring it in the thing. Yeah. It's like a 2-person thing, kind of.
Yeah.
Almost. So now, like, think about the frat bro at USC that can just put this in his back pocket. That's like, so I have basketball shorts on, and it can just go in my pocket and chill. And
it's like a hybrid, right?
But it also
shotgunning and
no. What I'm saying is the 2 ways of binge drinking a beer is beer bong and shotgunning. This is the perfect hybrid, but it makes the functionality just way better. I saw it and I was immediately like, oh, from my Shark Tank
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, this is just making something that exists like way better.
Yeah.
And I get that it's a small market in the sense of like how many people binge drink. Like, bro, I'm gonna do this shit with NASCAR. I'm gonna do this shit with everybody. We have the patent. So basically, as soon as I saw it, I was like, fucking call that motherfucker up.
Yeah.
And we were about to go on tour, and he's from Chicago, and I was just like, come out, meet us in Chicago. Pitched him.
Yeah.
Didn't know he didn't even know I was pitching him, but I was pitching him. Yeah. And it turns out like he already had the wherewithal. He was like, yo, I was trying to get this in front of you for a while. Like, you're the perfect partner.
Yeah.
So I was just like, they were trying to pay me for a post. And I'm just like, instead of that, how about you let me fucking partner on this? So instead of spending $100K the next 12 months on, because this is going to go viral crazy. Like, you just get you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So paying people would work. But instead, I'm going to do it off the strength. All the relationships I have, I'm going to plug it into fucking everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
And instead, for more bang for your buck, like you could spend $100K and maybe get great returns.
Yeah.
Influencer marketing.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to make this shit. You can get that just from my fan base, because I'm going to make it a lifestyle thing within our fan base where all the fans going to fuck with it because it's our fucking invention.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Like, they're going to get behind it 1,000,000%, where I'm going to make it a 6-figure business, but then through the relationships and then just the licensing opportunities, like I'm going to white label this shit to Young and Reckless, bro.
Yeah. Let's go. Anytime.
Like, if it makes sense, legality. But like
Absolutely.
anybody I fuck with, period.
Yep.
If it makes sense in any which way,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? Like, it will just be one of those things where we could just white label it. We'll do the business.
Yeah.
You sell it, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So like we know these guys, like all these guys around town, YouTubers and shit.
Yep.
A lot of them pranksters or whatever they do, like drinking shit. Like there's just so many little plays. Not to
so
mention
good.
the bigger play with Post. Like,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's so good.
Post definitely isn't listening to this, so maybe
Posty.
this is what I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you.
I mean, you don't even got it. All you got to do is leave that thing sitting on a table next to one of these and post is on.
Do you want to do it?
What's this?
You don't want to do one.
I
I don't want to put you on the spot like
got to do one now. I'm on camera. Damn it,
you
Mike.
can actually do like. See, the cool thing is you can do your. Is there half a beer in there? Let me feel it.
I gotta do the whole
You gotta do the whole thing.
Look, why
See,
did you do this?
my fan base will eat you alive. For
I
this kind of
know,
shit.
bro.
So listen.
Okay, tell me what to do.
Yeah. Crack it open. No, give it to him. Let him do it.
Yeah, you gotta do it yourself.
Okay.
Put it on.
Okay.
See how easy that is? It's on. So now the right trajectory is this.
Now you're playing a game of.
That's your trajectory. It's gonna be cold, so don't feel like. I just love that you're doing it. I love that I have you doing this. All right, so as you lift it, now puncture it and then take it out. Yeah, and just rock. It's cold. Oh look, he's making it look easy.
He's done this before, so that's first.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Everyone, give it up for him.
Well, that was cold.
Yeah, that's a fresh beer.
Holy
That's a fresh
shit.
beer. But I love that you did that. But you see the genius in it.
Perfect.
You know, real quick, we don't have much time left.
Yeah.
I want you to just shed a little light on what's going on now.
Yeah.
Because you're fucking killing it.
Thank
You're
you,
the
man.
podcast meister. You got how many podcasts are you on? 2 or 3?
I have 2. I have 2 full-time pods.
Which are short story long.
Short Story Long
which
is the
what
main
I was
one.
on.
Yep. And then I have another one called Group Chat.
Well, you
which
just
is
had
like-
the Wolf of Wall Street on.
I did on Short Story Long.
I only saw clips. I haven't listened, but
He's
I made a
incredible.
point to go. And he had some incredible insight, it seems.
He's incredible. The big thing for that was like I wanted to try to my show's all like story based, like how yours is, and trying to like really gain knowledge from people's stories. And so you've seen so much of his story in the movie. Obviously, I can't tell that.
How much was that? How much was spot on?
He claims a lot. He claims
That makes it even better.
90%.
Makes it even better.
Absolutely. And so the point is I couldn't tell that story again. And then I'll be honest, like on my show, I try to give lessons that you can take home and use. Being that he did a lot of corrupt, fucked up shit, right? Like I didn't want to like sit there and glorify that.
Right.
I wanted to try to figure out how he got to that. So the point was I spent most of the episode talking about what happened before you see in the movie, how he became that type of guy. And then all that being said, what were the things that were right? Like what was good? You made a lot of money. You had a lot of fun. You had to be doing something right. What was right? Mm-hmm. So we got a lot of really good stuff. It was really good. Cool. Short Story Long is still
Everyone
the main.
go peep that. That shit's fire.
Yeah, and peep Mike's interview.
Yeah.
It's literally like one of the first ones.
Well, I'd love to hear what the fuck I was even saying. I don't even remember.
I know it was good.
Yeah.
And then the other one's called Group Chat. That's more like news based. We do that 3 days a week. And it's like current events, what's going on with business. Like we're talking about Revolve going public and what that means and how they did it and what the fears are and that sort of stuff. But like in a fun, cool way, not a bunch of corpo,
Just
like
chopping it up,
whatever.
yeah.
So I do those 2 things. to answer your question, let me just preface it by saying, Young and Reckless, when we started it, the model was like, go to retail, go to PacSun, go to Macy's, go to Tilly's, go to all that stuff. That's how you built a clothing brand. And in like 2014, 15, when the signs started to come that retail was really going to have a tough time.
Because you're like, Young and Reckless became a fucking household name.
Yeah.
In many ways. Like, seriously, most towns, it's in the malls, it's in the Macy's.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. And I think that like...
So where did the revenue get? If you don't fucking... just,
No, I'll tell you everything.
Where did the revenue get when it first went from like... What did it start as? Where you're like, oh, this is real.
Yeah.
And then where did it get before it started to... Where did it get at its peak of like that kind of... Before retail started to die in the traditional terms?
It started... I mean, we're still we're just now getting back to the best that we've ever been.
Looks like you're booming again.
Yeah, and we like... So
it's like a cool rebrand. It didn't even feel like a rebrand, but it just kind of was.
Yeah, yeah. And it caused us to, like, so we started at obviously 0. And then I remember when we were doing like 4 million in revenue, it was like, oh my God, it's
big
like
boy
this
shit.
is something, right?
Yeah.
And then 5, 6, 7 into 20 into
Bonkers.
past that. I mean, the I don't want to sound braggadocious, but the
No,
height of
it's
retail
cool to know,
was
just the context.
yeah, was way up there, past 20. And
Wow. Annually?
yeah. And it was great. But so what that looks like is you're flying around, you're going to meet with Macy's in New York, and you're saying, please, please, please take this line. Look at how cool it is. It's so amazing. They say, okay, we'll test it for 20 doors. Great. It does well, you'll do it for 100 doors. It does well, you'll do it for 150. And you're like, oh my God, we're going to be the next biggest thing in the world. We just happen to come into the game right at the tail end of that strategy working. And so around 2014, 15, we could see that retail was going down.
You're in the trenches. You good?
Are we done? Are we good?
You need to move it? Okay.
We could see that retail was going down. And what that meant was we had to pivot quickly because that road to 100 million, 200 million, whatever is not that way.
Yeah.
And so we had to let go of a lot of people, hire new people. We essentially, since 2015, have completely restructured our staff and what it even looks like and what the jobs even are. It has just changed. And so now we focus so heavily on e-com.
The adaptability.
Yeah, and it's just that, you know what, like when shit gets tough, like you got to make the tough decisions. Like if the industry changes, you got to change. And it is what it is. And, it obviously sucks. Clothing is a lot like...
There's a lot of like that mental doubt too when you're like... I know for me, as the style of music changed, and I kind of had to like, not reinvent, but just kind of like immerse myself in the sound and how I needed to sound and how it could improve. There's a phase of mental doubt where it's just like, like you question because the route you had envisioned or the comfort zone that you've fallen into was cut short of what you thought it could be.
Well, and there's that easy message. The same with the message is if anyone says anything disrespectful to me, I'm going to fuck them up, right? There's that message of like, yo, no, I keep it real. I stick to my shit. And so I think when change comes, a lot of people that stick to their shit and can't be moved and they keep it real die. And the people who really last are the people that find their way of existing in the new world. It's got to be both. You can't jump on every trend, but you got to find that medium zone. So it was very similar. Clothing is very similar to music in the sense of when you're killing it in clothing, you feel like a rapper that just signed a record deal. Like you just feel, because it's your job to be at like Miami Swim Week and your job to be at Art Basel. And your job
I started Young and Reckless.
Yeah, you're like, like it's my table.
We're going over to live.
You want a cocktail? Ma'am, can you make a cocktail?
I'm pretty sure I saw you at Miami Beach Week balling the fuck out. We were at the
That's
same table.
I was working.
Yeah,
I was working, Mike.
We were at the same table just making it rain. This was years ago.
Yes.
This was years.
Yes.
We were at the strip. Where were we? 11?
11.
Something. You were there.
Yes.
Black Bear.
We were at 11. With Black Bear.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yes. So it's fun and you make really good friends with the people around you. And I think when the time comes that you have to like let those friends go because the industry changed is really hard. And I see why a lot of people die when an industry changes. I see why a lot of businesses die. It's really hard to make those decisions. And one thing that I'm proud of is I still kept all my relationships and I still love everyone that I've ever worked with, but like we were able to pivot and we were able to change, and we were able to build new relationships and new friendships and new employees. And now we've grown our e-commerce back to bigger than we've ever been. And now I have a podcast that drives so much awareness and revenue and brings people into our world. And I have, obviously all this stuff on social media and all the stuff we're doing with influencers. And it's the same game, just played a different way. And you just have to adjust, man. You just have to evolve. You have to adjust.
So Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
I'm sure you read, but like,
yeah, I love it.
This is kind of what my version of this is like, just hearing. So I've sat here with mainly athletes.
Yeah.
But like, you're actually the first like kind of entrepreneur, but I have a bunch lined up.
Yeah.
And it's just that it's really like almost the underlying theme is really this thing, adaptability.
Yeah.
Because if you can't go with the waves, like that dude Wayne Dyer, I was talking to you. I'm sure you know Wayne Dyer. Yeah, I love Wayne Dyer.
He's great.
And he talks about being like, you don't want to be a tall oak in the windstorm that can get blown over.
Yep.
That stands tall and firm and rigid. Yep. You want to be the fucking tree that sways and survives it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all these athletes say the same thing. Like, it's crazy. Anybody who's in a place of success, or they're even sitting in this chair is because like they're doing something.
Yeah.
And it's the tone. The underlying tone is adaptability.
Yeah.
You've completely reinvented yourself, as have I.
Yeah.
You were the kid at fucking, like I know the association I had. I didn't watch it religiously. I wasn't a huge TV guy, but I knew that show.
Yeah.
And I knew you just through what it was, and you were kind of just like, bro, like, like, and now you're just like a fucking forward-thinking entrepreneur. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
I think that that's another flaw in the way that we're taught. You're taught that the same way you're taught, if anyone disrespects you, fuck them up. Yeah. We're taught this because that's the easiest way to think.
Yeah.
And I think that as you start to master any sort of skill, there's this really delicate balance between being an expert and being very confident and knowing what you want when you want it.
Right.
And also knowing when you're wrong and you need to learn and things are changing. And man, it's such a delicate dance between those two things. And all the people that we really respect that have lasted through a lot of different changes are the people who could play that game really well. And that's any athlete. That's what it takes to truly be successful, right?
What do you want to be next? What's biggest on your when you look at your next, I hate saying goals and shit in 5 years, none of that. Like I think everything's a day-to-day thing.
Yep.
But like inside, like what gets you going about the future the most?
Yep. So my biggest thing is I want to continue, like, I really look at Young and Reckless as like, it's my original baby. And it was the thing that brought me into all of this. And we had tough times like 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. We bounced back. We're finally back. But there's more. It's almost like I want to continue to finish what I started and what started to have trouble 4 or 5 years ago. So like now that we're back, it's like I'm hungrier than ever to take that to where I always saw it going. I think it could be much bigger than it ever was.
So that's at the forefront of...
It is. And I think that...
Cool.
I think that like there's a lot of like what I do every day I'm in an office trying to run my business, right? And I think that I want to continue to do that. I want to help other people the same way that you're helping these guys. You're helping other people from what you know. I want to do that too. So I want to be able to go to these guys, and even though I can't market it as good as you could, I could probably help them with the infrastructure a little better.
For sure.
And so I want to try to work on other businesses with everything that I've learned with that. And then lastly, and kind of the most...
That's how you see expanding your
when it comes to financial
catalog,
right? Like if it comes to like financial success, it's like I want to take what I learned through all the trials and tribulations of Young and Reckless and apply it
help others
to new businesses. When it comes to more of a life purpose thing, when I was sitting in Akron, Ohio, I didn't like dream big or have big goals or any of that stuff. Not because of any terrible, sad reason. I just didn't think I was capable of doing it. I just fundamentally thought that, like, I don't know, you marry a girl from your middle school and you get a job down the street and like that's what you do. And I think that leads to a lot of misery, and I think it leads to a lot of pain, and I think it leads to a lot of pointless bullshit. I think that teaching people that they are capable, and kind of like we're talking about, would you send your kid to school? everyone's kind of questioning that. If you can spark that one thing in that kid that never thought they were going to be shit, to
That's
just
the biggest
think,
purpose of this.
maybe
That's
I'm
why we're
gonna
even
be
here.
Yes. That's why I do short story long.
Yeah, I know.
That's what, to me, Young and Reckless has really transformed into like,
You can do anything.
you can do fucking anything. Like screw school, screw what your parents tell you. Go start a business. Go make an album. Go
It
do
doesn't have
whatever
to be
you want to
reckless
do.
in a negative way. It's like reckless abandonment. Go forward with reckless abandonment.
And that's why, like, I did my first event. It was a month ago, and I had speakers and panels and e-com
We
experts.
gotta do some shit.
Absolutely, we do. But I had all these people, and there was 500 people there that came and showed up and sat and learned. And it's my attempt to try to bridge the gap between all of these corny, cheesy, like business retreats and like what like Complex Con is. Like, how can you make
In the
this
middle,
cool?
chopping it up, making it,
Because there's all these people like us that now want to talk about entrepreneurship, and we're, cool.
Yeah, we can keep it a
like
vibe.
we're not
Be a
business
vibe.
dorks.
Yeah, be a vibe.
Yeah. And so it's, how do I create that? How do I
That's why
reach that
asked you this.
person?
I think the same thing, and it's like you touched on it earlier about like not wanting to be preachy because I don't know shit.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I just genuinely feel like I've realized that I've had a lot of
Same.
I have a lot of breaks, and like I've maybe at a vantage point where a lot of people won't get to, and if I could just shed light on any of this shit, just maybe break whoever through that barrier of just feeling like I'm gonna go work at the insurance place up the street, and we're gonna go to fucking TGI Fridays on fucking Wednesday and Saturday and just tear it up.
Yeah.
And it's just not what the shit's like. I don't think that's, where we came from. Like, that's just what everybody is and does.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
And nobody wants that. You see those people, and don't get me wrong. I don't want to say nobody wants that, because some people want that. Some people are happy. Some people are great.
and that's cool. Not everyone's going to be this, but like there's the misery, what you touched on. There's so much misery and discontentment or feeling unfulfilled because the intuition, God talking back to them, God, whoever, the universe, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you're the only person that knows you're ignoring that voice.
Yeah, and it's a terrible
You're drowning
feeling.
it out with drinks, or you're drowning it out with whatever, right?
Yep.
But that intuition, you wake up every day with this fucking sour taste.
Yes.
Because you're the only motherfucker that knows that you're being a bitch.
Yeah. And that is a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
I always say, they have this saying, like, if you got in a boat in New York and you headed for London, right, across the ocean, if you 2 miles in turned the front of the boat 3 inches, you would end up in a totally different place. Yeah. And my goal is to simply be that one thing, that one turn that ended you up in a totally different place. And you said, like, man, it was when I started listening to Short Story Long, or I started blah, 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 that kind of got me on, that thing.
Are you 7 Laws of Spiritual Success? Are you
Are
a
you
reader of it? You have to fucking go read it.
I don't think I've even read it. I'm gonna
read it this week for me.
I will, 100%.
The law of karma, law of giving. There's a bunch of laws, but like to me, it became the Bible.
Yeah, yeah.
And what you're doing is the law of dharma as well. Your purpose, like that's where true happiness and peace. Yeah. When you fall into that stream that you're floating easily down because this is where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that same stream, you're checking off all the boxes of living under the 7 laws.
Yeah.
So the law of giving, you're right now you're helping people, and you realize it's part of your purpose. Yeah. But at the same time, you're monetizing it. Yeah. You're growing your platform.
For sure.
And now you're fulfilling your purpose, but you're also fulfilling your service to others.
Yep.
So
100%.
That's why you're in flow now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's what reading that shit was like. Life changing.
Yeah, I'll read it.
You gotta go fucking read it.
I'll read it.
We have to wrap this up.
Yeah, bro, we can't.
Kilmer, look, he's incapacitated over there.
We'll do a part 2.
We had James.
We gotta
Conner,
go play a drunk game of.
I don't normally do the double barrel podcast type thing. This is just a fucked up day. But Kilmer, I appreciate you.
Yeah, this is
you
good.
did great. We're gonna work again. Well, I'll come by and do some shit with you.
Literally anything
Maybe another short story long. I don't know.
I'd love to.
We'll
Let's circle back on both.
Circle back, and then we could talk about how bad I kicked your ass in this game.
I don't know what you're talking about. Why would I lie?
But everyone, tell everybody where they can catch you at. Like, I know you're not even a social media motherfucker.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, but I'm not my podcast is Short Story Long.
Yes.
On everywhere where podcasts are. Instagram is just drama. So if you follow those two things, you'll have more than enough. I'll keep you updated on
the
everything.
window into your life.
Yeah, there you go.
But thank you, bro.
Hey, thank you,
I really
man.
appreciate
This
you
is
doing
great.
this, man. Thank you. You're the best. Thank
This
you,
is
man.
really good.
We're over and we're out.
Bye, guys.